All right.
Wait, I'm gonna close Skype. Wonder what's gonna happen. Ooh, nothing. Wow,
Okay,
Discord's pretty
okay.
good.
I think I'm gonna try and do an intro now, and hopefully no one closes Discord during the intro, and then we can just like start. Okay? Yeah.
I
Sounds
think I'm
okay.
good.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Hey guys, Tarke here, and we are joined by Nugi and Karv as guests, and we'll be talking about all things Best or Bestiary. We'll also briefly go over Abyss Going Core, some of the new Ascendancy stuff, and just all of that. Before we get into all of that, though, what has everyone been doing, and what do people think about Abyss Going Core before we get into the new stuff? What about you, Nugi?
I've been playing, I've been playing a lot of Abyss League. I've really been enjoying it. Right now, I'm playing some Kingdom Come, which is really fun. But PoE-wise, no, I've been playing a lot of the League, and it's been like a blast. I really like all the new Abyss duels, like more crafting stuff. The fact that duels have like eye levels, I find that very nice. So like you always want to like search for the duels. That's really nice. How do I feel about it going core? I think it's okay. I think some of the Abyss uniques are a little OP, but what is
Some
these days?
examples.
I don't know. Some helmet that shoots out some stuff. It's pretty good.
Okay.
Which can now fork and chain, by the way.
Yeah, but then you have to fucking change. I don't know. We'll see how good that actually is.
I think, because, like, so they've changed it so it no longer defaults Pierce, but a lot of the builds which use it would get global Pierce anyway.
Yeah.
So that's why I feel like them removing the Pierce doesn't really do anything, because if you're playing EK, you'll have global 1 or 2 Pierce. Because you need Pierce for your EK, right? So
Yeah,
you
I
either
guess.
just like get it on the tree or from an Ascendancy or from the jewel. And then now if you're playing, like, say the new Deadeye is amazing, right? And you just get default global chain for your Light Poacher and for whatever your new ability is. I know, I think it's kind of a buff.
Well, we'll see.
We'll
Depends on the
see.
recon speed, right? Also,
Yeah.
like,
So-
how you like, hey Nugi, what have you been doing after your 2-week vacation? It's like he has a review, and Tarky's just like, yo, what up, dude? What have you been playing? Jesus, I don't even remember what I played like 3 days before. If I haven't played for a while.
I haven't played in ages. I started a new character yesterday just because I'm like, I've got to wait 2 more weeks. I need to actually play some PoE.
Yeah, it's been weird, right? I feel like Abyss League was really, really popular, and then very suddenly, like, everybody stopped playing, like, completely. It's been, not
Yeah.
that great.
It does feel like there's been a big streamer drop-off. Like, I've definitely noticed that a lot because I haven't been streaming that much recently because I've had a lot of health stuff going on. So I've had a lot of, I'm waiting around for appointments. I go to check Twitch on my phone and, like, no one is streaming, and that's really weird. I don't know. What about you, Cutedog? What's your opinion on the certain helmet that we won't talk about?
What, Light Poacher? Oh, yeah, it's good. I mean, the changes it'll still be exactly the same. You shoot out so many of the bursts that if you have like Herald of Ice, you don't really need the Pierce. You know, maybe it won't go like a full screen away. It won't go like, 1,000, 1,500 units, wherever it was going. Like, it won't go across the channel, right? But it'll still shoot out so fast that you still have good coverage. So it'll be nice. I'll still use that. I mean, like 2 Abyssal sockets, and now it's more common. It's gonna be great stuff.
Will it be more common?
They're making 2 sockets more common.
Yeah, but Abyss.
Abyss will be rarer, but you'll
Will
be
be
getting
rarer.
more 2-socket items dropping. So it'll probably be maybe about the same.
Probably. I wouldn't expect too many of those to be available at least.
Yeah, not early on, but I mean like 10%. Like you take a look at like the Breach Lord items, and those are like Ashes Mirror is like 5 chaos or something after a few weeks. And if it's the same percentage, it's 10%, then I think, and it's not like it's not as rare as like the Shroud, right? So it's gonna be like a little bit expensive at the start, but it won't be bad.
Yeah, I think I agree. What do you, Cutedog, what do you think about like what they said with the jewels? That in comparison to the skill tree, like it's okay to keep the jewels. Because like some people argue that it's increased build diversity.
You know what? I was in Path of Building a little bit, and I like created a 4 mod regular rare jewel. You know, like let's just take like ink generic damage, AOE damage, and then like multi, and then something else. And a lot of the time, it's like pretty similar damage increases. Like abyssal jewels weren't as crazy as I thought they were. That there are situations where they become pretty crazy, but for the most part, if your gear is already good, like above average, the abyssal jewels aren't like oh my god. Like I thought they were. I thought they were for a long time. And then I also like even things like blue nightmare, green nightmare, things that convert a little bit LE to chaos damage. Like those are like equally as good as some 3-4 mod abyss jewels when you look in Path of Building. So I mean, I think it's totally fair to have them in the game.
I think a lot of it depends on the build, though. Like, that's one thing that I'm a little iffy about. So if you're playing, like, an elemental attack build, they're just amazing. But if you're playing, like, any two-hand attack build, then the mods feel a lot weaker, because it's the same amount of damage for a two-handed and a one-handed weapon. And then for damage over time builds, you'd be better off with the old jewels. And then for spellcasters, they don't seem as good. So it's kind of like, if you're... like, I don't know, a KB Wonder, that build which really needs help getting extra damage right now, it's amazing. And then if you're 50% of any other build, it's kind of meh.
It's nice for leveling. Like you find one of those, like was the lowest level, like 23 or something for like a decent one. And then you imagine you get 4 mods on that, and then your leveling experience is just like getting another couple weapons added on, and maybe like another like massive number of levels on the spells. So that's really cool. I liked them a lot for leveling. I used them. I bought like a level 23 and then like a 43, 44, 45, like those, and like the 50 and 60 ones, like as I was leveling up, so I could socket them in on the skill tree. Whereas before you might not want like the jewels, right? So it's pretty good stuff. I'm really glad they're adding it. I mean, like more stuff is always good, right? Like, I mean, why? I mean, if you didn't have them, why? Yeah, if you didn't have them, why would you like make the other abyss stuff like in the game and with the better socket rolls and stuff?
I think it's necessary to have the jewels when you look at all the Shaper and Elder stuff that's coming in, because if you think about it, like all the Elder gives a lot of like physical damage, right? There's like a lot of physical damage builds, and then you have all the Shaper stuff, which is all the conversion. If you look at Shaper Maces and all that, right, they buff anything that converts by such a high degree, so the Abyss Jewels don't seem nearly as strong, because it's really tough getting a very good physical Abyss Jewel, I think. I don't know if you've experienced, but that's been my like kind of it's what it seemed to me, that it kind of helps all the elemental builds to not fall off with the introduction of all the new stuff.
Yeah, I can agree with that. Sure.
Yeah,
but I think that's one of the reasons why we don't feel as if it's and I think if you didn't have any of the new Shaper and Elder stuff, I don't think it would feel like, I felt then it would have been like considered overpowered.
Okay.
So it's like supposed to be like, because basically right now previously I feel like the majority of elemental builds out there were mostly like conversion builds from Fizz to LE, and now it's like just flat. Okay, yeah, I can see that. I don't know, the only thing that struck me the wrong way with that was the fact that they said that like in comparison with the skill tree they feel the Abyss Jewels are okay. I don't know if I agree with that, because like jewels in general are pretty strong. Typically a regular jewel is worth like 3 or 4 skill points, while picking it up on the skill tree is like usually 2 or 3 at most, right? I feel like Abyss Jewels in a lot of cases are worth even upwards of like 6, 7, 8 points equivalent on the skill tree. So it's like, that's the only thing that rubbed me the wrong way, but other than that, yeah, I guess it's okay. More power creep, let's go.
I think that, like, so sure, for stat stick Fizz to Ellie conversion and raw Ellie builds, yeah. But if you look at Ignite, I know it's kind of a meme at this point, Ignite didn't really gain anything from Elder and Shaper items, and it also didn't gain anything from Abyss items. Like the jewels, that is. There are quite a few builds like that which don't really gain much. Some of the jewels are really nice for like summoners, but there aren't really that many Elder and Shaper mods for summoners, for example, that are that juicy. Outside of maybe you've gotten like an extra utility item. And then you have something like Poison, where it's like there are a few viable Poison builds if you wear the 4 very specific Poison unique items, which then means you're not using the new Elder and Shaper items or the new Abyss items because you have to use a Dendrobate, for example. So I feel like it works really well for raw Ellie stacking and like Fizz to Ellie stat sticking, but if you're someone who wants to play like a pure Fizz 2-hand build, it's kind of like, what have you really gained outside of Tomb Fist, maybe? I don't know, what do you think, Karv?
Oh, back to the original question. I've been playing a lot of BOD lately. So, yeah, when Greenwood announced the new patch for BOD, it kind of killed PoE for me. And yeah, in the topic of Abyss, like Tarke already said, I think my biggest issue with it is the like how there's like no actual watch for like 2-handers. So the Abyss jewels are just like strictly better if you are like 1-hander. And then when you compare the Abyss jewels to normal jewels, there's one issue where you can't socket normal jewels into your gear, and you can get like what 4 jewels in 9 jewels in your gear if you really have like all of 8 because the chest is only 1 socket now.
Yeah.
But yeah, and then the belt issue is we basically have like 3 belts now then, right? Okay, 4. We have Headhunter, we have the Stygian, and then we have the Elder and Shaper belts. So basically you're going to be using a Stygian belt until you craft this GG Elder or Shaper, or you get a Headhunter.
Yeah.
So
You think regular belts nobody's ever gonna pick up ever again?
I mean,
until you get your Stygian, I don't.
Well,
the
it should
moment
be
you
a
get
lot more
Stygian,
difficult, no? Because they said that belts won't be dropping from mobs, you can only get them in the depths now, so it should be a lot more difficult to like...
Yeah, so basically the moment you run your first depth, you get your belt, and that's it.
Yeah.
So you run,
if it's a guaranteed drop,
if
is it?
it's like
Yeah, it's a guaranteed one will drop from the depths.
Okay.
Yes.
So you'll use a leather belt for leveling, your first
Yeah.
character of the league, or your first
Then
like
you-
SSF character.
then
Then you get the belt.
Isn't it like 10% chance to spawn? So you run like 20 maps, you get 1 abyssal, and the abyssal depths are going to be way more common compared to what they are now because the abysses are more rare. So let's say you run like 50 maps, you probably get 1. That's like on average, I guess at least that's like 5 abysses. So that would be like 20% chance for the actual depth, and then you get your belt. So I'm pretty sure everyone who runs 100 maps will get a belt. So,
Yeah, but it's like a matter of maybe they see it as like a progression thing, like a necessary crafting type of thing. Because obviously you're getting into maps, so you drop at a low item level belt. Let's say like 5 tiers later, you get another one, and you're like, whoa, maybe I should craft this thing. So maybe they see it as like some progression crafting type of thing.
yeah, I would have hoped that they had like a level requirement of like at least 80, the belts themselves. But that would mean that the belts would probably have to drop from like level like actual red maps. Then I mean like the if it's 80, so you have to be in like a T10 map, so that you have the abyssal depths, which is gonna be 79, and then
Yeah. So if it kind of felt like the old like rarity of open.
78, and then the boss will drop the +2 item level, which would be 80. But yeah, I think
also. I'll go on, Nugi.
I don't.
But do you really think that's an issue though? Like, think about the league, right? When it was introduced, it's Abyss League, right? So what do you have in Abyss League before? Like, what are they introducing in Abyss League? Well, War of the Atlas. So if the belt is then tied all the way in the Atlas, you don't get any of that before all the way into late game. And whenever they make these leagues, they need to have content for early game as well to get all the new players.
Yeah, but we're not talking about the league though. We're talking about the core game going forward.
Yeah, they already acknowledged they are incredible power. So why the incredible power doesn't go to the end? Like,
and they're already gated to dropping in maps.
You can always buy the belt. It's probably not going to be hugely expensive after like a couple days when people are already like 95 plus.
I don't know. I don't think I don't know. It's like, what did we have before? Right? We had everyone running. There's like 2 belts you would run before. You would either Headhunter or the what's the one with Intimidate. I feel like right now we have more belt diversity than we had last
I
week.
mean, okay,
It's
so
like it goes like up and down, and crystal belts for a long time were like the only thing anyone used.
I feel like there's a little more than that because, so for example, yeah, you had Headhunter, you had Belt of the Deceiver, you then had Bisco's Leash, which quite a few people used. Bisco's Leash is a really nice belt. And then you had people using certain rares, or if you're a trapper, you use Sunblast. And I feel like one of the things that I'm not too fond of, because from a hardcore point of view, yeah, hardcore SSF, there might be this nice gear progression about getting the super high level belt. But for Cutedog, he'll get his 1 belt early, and then that will be the only one he ever uses while leveling, and then he will have his mirror-worthy ones that he buys later in the league. And that's it, and then it's just locked. That is always like this. And then he obviously has his
head. Okay, Cutedog. Do you feel like you have a ton of belts you were swapping before this?
No, it was basically just Headhunter. That's it. That's like it's just too good.
Yeah, but that's like the system was shitty before, so therefore the system is shitty now, so it's okay. Like,
yeah, it's fine. I think the belt slot's fine.
know.
Like the people that don't have the Headhunter, they're never gonna get the Headhunter. Okay, this league's not gonna. This league's gonna slow things down. If you weren't like, you're less likely to get a Headhunter in Bestiary League. So like, if you don't think you get a Headhunter, just like use one of the other OP things. It's totally fine.
I was about to say, can we like basically just remove Headhunter from the discussion because we know it's gonna stay, but like think about belts outside of Headhunter. Okay, so in the topic of Belt of Deceiver, it was OP, it got nerfed, it's still good for attack builds, it's still good from defensive point of view for non-attack builds as well, but then you have the leather belt, you have the crystal belt for the ES builds. Heavy belt is actually not bad for builds that don't need stats. And now basically you get that one Stygian, and it's all of those. It's
Not
there's
necessarily. What if you need a cooldown recovery belt or something? You know,
yeah.
you have 3 belts rather than one.
Remember when I said that we have basically 4 belts now? Okay, I guess 5 if we take the Belt of Deceiver, but you have the Stygian and then you have the Elder and Shaper belt, but you don't really use them before you actually get it and craft it to at least some decent belts.
Also, with the Elder and Shaper belt, it's basically a cooldown belt, or that's it. Because the Shaper belt is cooldown recovery. Elder is all like crazy damage mods. If you can afford some like mirror-worthy Elder belt, you're using a Headhunter.
It's also maximum life.
Yeah.
But would you rather that?
And flask effect, I believe, right?
Isn't there like % attributes too?
Yeah, there's a lot of good stats.
There are a lot of good mods on them.
I mean, maybe we're looking at it the wrong way. Maybe we should look at it the same way, like weaker bases that you get leveling up from like items become redundant later on in the game, and you only want like Titan gloves or Titan boots, right? And like the other bases you don't care about. Maybe we should look at it this way, as just like Stygian belts are just like the tier 1 base now, and the other ones are just redundant.
Yeah, I was just about to, like, can we like get them like up, like basically we have chain belt, then we have a crystal belt, can we have like leather belt, and then like upgrade that? Can we have the stun? I don't remember is it cloth belt or whatever. Can we have like a higher version of that and so on, instead of just one universal belt that you slap the best jewels in it, and you craft the belt into like for like life and stats and resistance, like you can get steel flask mods on them and all that.
And you can always get an endurance charge too, so all the other bases are totally worth it. You can follow them. There you go.
I think that long term it will probably balance out. I think we're also in this we're in this very awkward short term where like Elder and Shapers come and made a lot of old uniques feel worthless. Like you would never use them over certain new stat sticks. And then you've got Abyss come in, and you would never use a bunch of old items over this. Now with
I feel like that's the general idea for them, no? For the longest time. Like, for instance, with the Faded uniques.
Yeah.
Like, overall gear progression, where certain things just, at a certain stage in the game, become redundant. I think the problem that people have with the system is that those things that are redundant past a certain point still continue to drop. and that's like the only thing that people have a problem with. But other than that, like
I think when they eventually update old things, like the fact that adding new fated items, they are taking old items and revamping them. I think like a year from now, when they've also revamped a bunch of old items, sure, but it always just feels kind of bad. And you have like, I always use Voltaxic as the example. It was like Voltaxic was a problem item however many leagues ago, and now it's still got this like super rare drop chance, and it's just dog shit. Like, you drop it, you don't even pick it up, because it's like, lol, that's like half an alk, you know? You just sort of walk past it.
I love how this is. Hey guys, we have this huge announcement. Bestiary League has released. Let's talk about
Voltaxic!
Abyss.
Yeah, okay. But we had to talk about Abyss going core, because we hadn't talked about it, but yeah. So, to go into Bestiary League then, we capture Pokemon. There are 250 regular Pokemon, and then like 40 legendary Pokemon. You take them home to your zoo. You then sacrifice them an altar to craft items. What were your guys' reactions to this? I've seen a few of like your guys' videos and streams, and I think we all kind of went, "Huh, that looks cool," and then like nothing.
Did we?
It was just kind of like, "Huh, seems a bit slow," and then like change topic. I don't know.
I don't know. For me, the entire announcement was sort of like underwhelming because it's like it's a press tour in its essence, where they announce all the things that basically target people who want to like approach the game and not the people who are already playing. And I feel like all the cool stuff we're getting with the patch notes, but for now, for like the league itself, it was weird. Like the trailer, for instance, where the mobs are like spazzing out and some like lightning and stuff. It's like I don't really get it. The concept itself is pretty cool. There are some pretty OP things though, like controlling the implicit of like vault items, and there were a couple. There's some mirroring stuff.
You mean not being able to brick your item when you wallet? You don't really control what you get. I think. I think it's probably
but it
probably
not
just
bricking
gonna,
is pretty big for
yeah,
like
that's pretty
6
big,
links
but
and stuff.
we don't know how like accessible it actually is to do that. For example.
Exactly.
There's so many things that are like we don't actually have any idea. Like for example, there's the Eternal for magic items, right? We have no clue how easy it's actually going to be doing that. For example.
I think it's going to be pretty hard. I don't think this is something like Masters where you just like eventually get it and you just keep getting it. I think it's one of those things where you're playing the game and every now and then you see a mob that you recognize for one of the things and you like can capture it and that's it. But I don't think it's
unless you off-screen it.
Yeah, that's the thing I'm really scared about. They're like, you'll encounter this mob every like 10 to 20 hours. And then, meanwhile, we've all off-screened it 4 screens away with our light poacher.
I mean, that's a good thing, right?
But that's an opportunity cost. Like Raiz, it's a good thing.
I kind of like it. It punishes the people who play the game the way I don't like them playing the game. So,
like, it's all about efficiency, right? If you can kill all of this, if you're like the most efficient player ever, and you accept that, well, then you still get the most efficient playstyle. You still run like 80 miles an hour with your headhunter, and you're still the most efficient player. But if you go a little slower, then you can do all this Pokemon stuff, right? It's not really hurting anyone. It keeps the old playstyle, and some other.
Yeah, but then you keep your old
stuff.
playstyle. You can look at it from the other way, right? Where you keep your old playstyle, but then what really gets released with the league, like you're just playing Abyss with less stuff.
You can say this with like pretty much every league, can you? It's like
Not
if you really like Abyss was the same, honestly.
Okay, what about
super fast?
What about something like
Harbinger.
Beyond or Bloodlines or Nemesis or Invasion or Ambush or Anarchy or all of these leagues where it's like it's not like, oh, I didn't realize it was Beyond League.
Yeah.
I think one of the things which is a little... We'll have to see how it plays out. So the idea... Because my first reaction was, what happens when you're accidentally off-screening these things, right? So if you say, well, Cutedog can just play like Cutedog, but if you play more slowly, you're rewarded with the fact that you can engage with the mechanic. If these like Pokemon are super rare, super legendary, and it's a good mechanic for people who map very slowly... Because they map very slowly, they're going to encounter less rare beasts to capture. So
Sure.
the idea of like, oh, this is perfect for the guy who plays like an hour every few days. Well, that might take him a week and a half to find one super rare creature, and then if to get the like guaranteed not bricked Val item, for example, takes like 5 legendaries, it might take him an entire league to craft one item.
Yeah, and I also think like the juicy stuff too. I mean, off-screening that is probably gonna be pretty hard. I would imagine those 40 rare things, I think it was 40, they're gonna be pretty strong, right? Like in general, I
Yeah.
expect like even the sacrifice, because you gotta go into an arena and fight the mobs when you want to sacrifice them. Like I expect that to be pretty hard for most builds. 'Cause most builds rely on kiting in the open areas and stuff like that, the really clear speedy stuff. But if you're like in a very tiny closed-in area, even leveling up, it can be pretty tough if you're like in the reso pits. So maybe that's gonna be pretty difficult too. That's part of the big gameplay.
How do you feel about the fact that you might be in a situation where you don't want to play like certain builds? Like you might not want to play a summoner, for example, because your solar guards will just destroy everything before you get a chance to net the right beasts, or like frostbolt totems or whatever.
You mean before you manage to change your key binding because you don't have enough key bindings and you gotta key bind the net?
Yeah.
You don't have on the net. It's a default key like mine.
Oh.
When you have mine up.
Oh, cool. Because I saw like people had it on the toolbar on the.
Yeah, you can
I
put
think
it there.
it might be a skill gem because it appears
Detonate
above the action bar like Detonate Mines does, but the fact that you can also bind it to your action bar makes me think it has to be a skill gem.
It's not.
Is it? Are you sure?
It's all.
I mean, Detonate Mines isn't either, right?
I'm pretty sure it was mentioned somewhere on the comments by Bex that it's not going to be a skill gem because people were worried that you would hurt your build because you have to have this one mandatory gem in somewhere.
Okay.
So
Okay,
Yeah,
that's
that
good.
would be ridiculous, I think.
Yeah, okay, that's good.
Yeah, the same way you can bind mines, I guess you can bind this too. So that's good. Yeah. But what if you don't have a keyboard? Ugh. There you go.
how do you play this game again then? I mean, yeah, you can play it on Xbox, I guess.
I'm sure somebody. Well, you can play on a controller. There you go.
Yeah.
Okay. So,
I'm,
oh, go on.
Yeah. I'm just wondering how, since we can capture like normal monsters, right?
Yeah.
To craft items for let me backpedal a bit to the arena thing, right? I don't think that's gonna be a hard like you create a granite flask. I don't think when you craft the granite flask it's gonna be like a huge fight in the arena. You just like pop them in and just like one shot and you get your reward. And maybe for like this there's like some super rare like recipes, then it's gonna be harder because you have to get the harder mobs for it. But oh yeah, KP by the way. And so I'm just wondering how often, like, do we actually need like want to like capture the non-rare monsters at all, or is it just gonna be that we're just gonna map like normally, the speedy style, then we encounter the hopefully tanky guys that don't get one shot by everything, and then we just capture that, and those are mostly used in the recipes.
I think it's kind of like you have to capture the random like common mobs as filler, and then you'll require the one rare spider or.
That's what I'm worried about. It's like in D2 where if you're cubing like a freaking bear or something, then you have to have like if you're making a Vex, you have to have like a basic ruby gem or something. It's like, where the fuck do I find this like really simple thing, you know? I'm kind of worried that that's going to be the case, that for like you're going to get the rare mob, but then you need like 50 crabby mans that just get one shot. That's going to be, I don't know.
If they're all generic, it'll be great. Like look at the icons, and like most of them look like to me, like all the snacks, they look the same. All the crabs look the same, besides like the little variations in the big one. So if you can just like, for the bestiary, it seems like to get the challenges and to get like for your own completion, you need like the different like names of them. But I think you can capture like any snack for like if it has the snack icon, I can think it'd be any named snack.
Right. That would make more
That'd be
sense. Because remembering the names and all that, that was like really confusing for me too. It's like all these things seem to be classed by names. It's like, are you
That'd
kidding
be
me?
super AIDS. If there's like
Yeah.
20 snacks and you need like the bramble cobra for like a recipe, but like usually like how are you supposed to find that? You know, I'm not gonna look at the name of every snack.
It's
Can you
really
only,
it's really simple. You just map and then you stop before each pack, check if there's any beasts. If there's a rower, you hover over it, see the name, go to your third monitor, check the rower list, see if it's
Imagine
the
if
correct
that's how you-
rower.
Dude, imagine if that's how you play the game now. Like the throwing of the net has no like animation or any cooldown, and while you're playing and shield charging around, you're just like throwing the net everywhere. It's just so you can luckily like hit the mob. Before
Sadly,
you
the
kill
net
it.
does have a cooldown, which we can get to
Oh, okay.
later, but what were you going to say, Nugi? Sorry if I interrupted.
Well, it's because the thing I worry about for this entire league is mostly the mechanic of the net, right?
Yeah.
And how you capture a single monster. Are you gonna, like, as you said, are you just gonna go around like just trying to capture on cooldown like one monster? Because it seems like that seems like a really tedious and boring way of playing it. Like if you can't, it would be nice if you could somehow like make it a larger trap, right? So you could like pull like a group of monsters in, you capture them all. If you do need like a bunch of reagents and stuff, and if you do have to like use these over and over again, like if you have to wait for a 10-second cooldown every time, it's oh my god, that's gonna be
Maybe
like
that's
the
the
worst
buff to
playing
AoE.
experience.
That's the buff to AoE. The AoE nodes increase the size of the net. And now you can capture more. Game's balanced.
I think it looked like a 3 to 5 second cooldown. And yeah, I think that leads to like two horrible situations. So situation 1, you need to get these 4 spiders. You have a pack of 4 spiders, and you do so much damage that you can't attack. So you throw one net, and then you have to wait 3 to 5 seconds to throw the second net. When you net a creature, there's a chance that it can fail. In which case the creature enrages. So if you have to potentially like wait 30 seconds to capture a full pack of like 5 monsters, or if you're in the opposite situation where let's say you're Cutedog and if you attack you'd one-shot the entire screen, but he's recognized there's a rare Spooder beast and he wants that Spooder. Surrounding the Spooder is like 5 rowers. He goes to net the Spooder, accidentally hits the rower. He now needs to wait for 5 seconds for a second opportunity to net the beast he wants. The whole time he can't attack or he'll kill the monsters, and while he isn't attacking, all the mobs are trying to kill him.
Yeah, that'd be
Buff
super
to single
gay.
tagging.
That sounds really fun.
Yeah, you said there's gonna be there's a chance that it fails, right?
Yeah.
So, I like when I was watching the trailer, it looked like one of them like escaped. So
Yeah.
I was
Yeah.
wondering, do you have to like weaken them exactly like in Pokemon, where you like deal damage to them, so there's higher chance that it like you capture it, or is it like you just throw the net? Now it's like this attack, and when you kill the monster, it automatically captures it.
Beck said something that you can throw the net at like any HP and then kill it afterwards and you'll capture it. So you can throw the net, then kill the mob. But if, for example, it's like this super tanky... Let's say they make a super tanky legendary so we don't accidentally kill it. There's something about it being at like 35% health. So if you watch in this trailer that's playing now in the background just while we're talking, you'll see there's a dinosaur that they net the dinosaur. It like fails and then it enrages. And then it like runs around and does some special attacks. So yeah, that might potentially be really awkward if you're in... This will be more awkward for hardcore than softcore. If you've got this really scary beast that you don't want to kill, you fail to capture it, and now you're just running around in circles waiting for your net to come off cooldown so you can maybe capture it again.
Just real quick, what the fuck has this game turned into? What is this? I never thought, like, when I started playing Path of Exile, I'm ever gonna have a conversation about netting dinos in it, like 5 years later. Like, what the fuck?
I think fishing would have been way more badass. Fishing, like just like a side activity that you could just do for hours, you know, aside from the game. From what we understand, like Bex like clearly said that you can just kill it, right? You net and then you kill the thing, it's fine. But then like, what about like people with bad
Okay,
internet?
here's the
You get
bit,
some
by the way, in
lag.
the background you can see the failed net. Sorry, keep talking.
Yeah, well, if you got some desync, like if you play on if you play a fast build, you play on predictive, right? You throw a net, it's like not even there. It's like halfway across the screen, and you're like, oh, I got it. You kill it. You didn't even the net's not even on the monster, and you're like, oh man, oh boy, that's 10 to 20 hours for a legendary monster. Feels kind of bad. So I'm like actually really scared of the predictive thing, you know, because it's still pretty bad.
I really think it should be like an AoE. At least assuming
will
the
be. It has to be,
the
right?
cooldown and the fact that if you have a build that has like for Herald Vice, for example, you kill the back around or like this rare mob that you wanted to capture, now the rare also dies. So
Well, maybe that's also the fun of it. Maybe like if it is AoE and you like capture the big boy mob, but then like a bunch of smaller mobs, maybe the more like additional mobs you catch with the AoE, the more difficult the sacrifice fight is going to be. So they could maybe do something like that where you
That's
take the
not
risk.
how it works, though, because you sacrifice a specific beast for a specific craft.
Yeah,
So
but maybe
it's-
it like adds them up. That would be better.
No, because that
then
would
you
be,
take
that
either
would be
take the
really.
time or you get
Imagine
it
how
riskier.
annoying this would be, though, Raiz. So let's say your craft normally requires 1 dinosaur, but when you
Right.
caught your dinosaur, you caught it with 5 rowers. You'd then feel like you're throwing away 5 rowers. That'd be like you picked up a Chaos Orb, but when you
Oh,
picked
I
it
mean,
up,
like
there was
that.
also like an Exalt next to it. So when you Chaos your item, you also waste an Exalt. It would feel really bad to just be throwing away extra reagents. Because at the end of the day, they are a
Possibly.
currency. I'm also
sure. Yeah.
I'm also very curious to see how this will play out for the people who do play in groups. Like, this looks like a very solo-friendly league. But this is a league which doesn't seem to benefit groups at all. Like, if you're just mapping with a buddy, like, let's just say you have one support player, right? So your support player will be the one to throw the net, because he's probably playing a less active build than the carry. The carry kills it. Because the support netted it, it went to the support zoo. The carry got nothing. And now the support player has a zoo full of mobs that he needs to sacrifice in an arena, which he can't kill because he's playing a support.
Well, he can't kill anything in the map either. Like he's kind of chosen what he wants to be, and he's just gonna get his friend to come help anyways.
That's a good point.
Yeah.
I mean,
Imagine if you're trying to capture something and you're a support, and you're just like, yo, kill this thing, and the guy doesn't do anything, and you just waste your net. It's like, what the fuck?
If everyone got credit, that'd be amazing for you know, some people to group play, you know. So like, you know, 5 friends, they all, you kill 1 legendary, you have 5 of them. You can do 5 crafts, and then you know, get
That
the
might
monies.
maybe be exploitable though, because then if you find the legendary, you've basically like duped an item 5 times.
You can sell it, right?
Yeah.
That'd be badass. Like, hey, it's 5 people. Oh man, the scam posts are gonna be coming. There's gonna be a guy spamming. I have red T-Rex in my map. Pay 2 exalts up front. Oh boy, dude, I'm rich. I'm rich at the beginning of next league. It's sick. I'm gonna make an alt account right now.
And also that was one thing I was aware. I thought was the Blood Altar was completely solo. That's why there's the idea that supports can't ask their friend to join. Because the whole point of the Blood Altar was that you can't sell it. Like, you were already happy about that, Raiz, in the article, is that you can't sell it. So, you know, if let's say you're Baz is the guy who supported Ziz to 100, or Nugi, you're playing in a group with streamers, right? So you're the support player this time. For the entire time you're playing that character, you are playing effectively Standard League. Because you're not capturing any beasts. If you are capturing any beasts, they're just going into a zoo, and you can't engage with the altar until you make a secondary character to then fight in the blood pits.
Maybe it's the craft specifically. I don't think it's the fight for it. I think it's the craft specifically. So like, you open up the fight, your party members can join the fight, but then only you get the craft, and not the people who fought with you.
But then you can just sell it though.
but is this really an?
No. How so?
Because, okay, let's say I captured the beast Raiz, but I'm afraid that I can't kill it. So I just whisper Dan on my friends list and say, come in my party. He comes in my party and he kills it for me.
Oh, you mean like the fight itself?
Yeah, the fight
Yeah.
itself is completely solo, as far as I'm aware, and from what we've seen.
Did they specify that it was the fight, or did they specify that it was the item?
Well, it must be the fight, because the item is the fight. You do the fight, you get the item. Like,
Yeah, but what if the
But
item
how-
is just like soulbound or something?
they're not going to make soulbound items. If
I
they
don't-
make soulbound items, no, because okay, there's two ways you approach this league from my point of view. You have the approach of I'm going to play like Cutedog, pretend the league doesn't exist. I'll just make my currency and then buy the items I want from people who play Pokemon. And then the people who play Pokemon, they might say, I'm going to do this mechanic to get items I can then sell for profit, so it's rewarding me for playing Pokemon. If the Pokemon items are completely soulbound, then it means that it's not as rewarding. Because you then can't sell your crafts.
I see what you're saying. I just can't imagine that this question wasn't brought up and answered with them somewhere, you know? Because that's a pretty big concern that certain people won't be able to participate in the majority of the league if you choose to play a support. It's a pretty big deal.
Well, how many people play support though? Like, let's be like, I don't think that like,
Enough
maybe
to be upset.
it's well, like, you're already playing like one of the most efficient ways to play, and I don't know. It's like you can't play support and then want to kill Shaper either at the same. Well, you have to have your friend in there, but you can't do it yourself. Like, there's a lot of things you say no
But
to
you're
when you play
allowed
support.
to do it. You're allowed to do it, and here you won't be if the fight is solo.
I don't see any way the fight would be solo. Because you're crafting items, like you can pretty much do everything in a group already. Why would they make this one solo now?
Well, it's
Why-
more it's more so the scenario would be that you play in a group and everyone has a net, but the support is going to be the netting the most, right? And so the support ends up with all the different all the creatures in his pen, and he can't do the solo boss fight or whatever in there, and that's a problem.
I just don't see why they would ever make it so that you have to solo it. I don't see the upside on that. Like, why would they do it? What is the reason they are gonna make it that you craft the item, you have to do the fight solo? You have to, like, you can do everything in a group already. Why would this specific thing be solo?
I mean, maybe it's a massive debate. Does we hear this anywhere outside of that one video? Like,
I'm
maybe the
bringing
guy's
it
just
back up
wrong.
now. It's also, so for anyone who doesn't know, I prepared a massive topic list after asking Bex if they would check through the document, and I sent her the full list of all the questions, and she passed it on to someone. They read through it and said that nothing in it was wrong, but they didn't want to give any more information just yet, which is perfectly fine. But one of the things in here is the whole thing about it being solo. And I believe it's the IGN into which I'm going to read now if you guys keep talking about this yourselves, and I'll try and find the solo bit.
I mean, I really wonder if this is... I don't know, because like what Nugi said, does it really affect that many players? Not really, but then do you really have to make a second character? Or if you're playing in a group with a support, and let's say you're trying to like be most efficient, now the solo player that will get the thing can't give it to anybody else, therefore the group is like losing money.
It's not the biggest deal in the world, and it's definitely for a very small part of the player base, but I do think that if you're in the situation where the people who play very fast don't want to engage with the league because it's too fiddly, that's one portion of the player base who are kind of ignoring the league. And then if you have another portion of the player base who play in some groups in a more support kind of role, they're not engaging with the league because they can't for whatever reason. And then you have builds like Spectres and Summoners who feel like if you're playing these builds, you will have a hard time engaging the league because your minions or your totems will kill stuff for you. Then it seems that it shrinks down like the target audience from something that everyone can enjoy to then maybe 70% of the player base. And that I'm not sure how I feel about. What were you going to say? Sorry, Nugi.
Kind of lost track.
Oh, sorry.
I will say that we gotta remember there's the Spirit Beast zones, right? It's probably like 4 of them as usual. So like even if you're, most builds don't like just like shield charge around like one shot a unique boss, right? Like even when I was playing Auto Bomber with like really good gear, if Beyond boss spawned, like I'd know about it, and then like if I kept attacking, then I'd be like, okay, it's gonna die. But like if you're only going after the uniques, like the 10 to 20 hour thingies, or I guess for people probably more like 2 to 4 hours if you're not a pleb. You know, when you find those, you'll probably be able to capture those no matter what. Hopefully they make it like that so that you can at least get the end boss, I guess, of the Challenge League and experience that, even if the crafting stuff doesn't matter, right? I feel like that's something I was missing in Essence. Like Essence, it's cool to release the monsters, but there was like no super Essence monsters, right?
Yeah. I can kind of agree with that. A lot of it will depend on the spawn rate. If it's kind of Lich King level of, you know, you had some people who only encountered like 1 or 2 before the buff and stopped playing the league like a few weeks in. A lot of it will alter on or hang down to how regularly are you encountering these rare creatures. And I guess, so looking back at Abyss, if we were to assume the current Lich spawn, do you feel like it should be rarer or less rare than that?
The spirit beasts?
Yeah, like these like super rare legendary beasts. Like
I think
how
they're gonna be really rare. As rare as like breaches are, basically. Breach lords.
Yeah,
It's
that'd be
not
nice.
rare, really.
Probably rare, yeah. Breach Lords are, I'd say, very uncommon. I wouldn't say like super rare. You know what I'm saying? Like, they show up a lot if you're doing the content.
No, I mean like specific in the breach domain specifically.
Oh, okay.
Because that's the thing too, right? That you do get to encounter breach lords outside of the domains themselves.
Mhm.
But like if you're not running Xana maps, you know, you don't see that many breaches, and getting a breach lord takes a long freaking time. And this probably will be the same rarity. It's definitely a lot easier to find a lich than it is to find a breach lord, you know, domain.
I think in the last 2 leagues, it's been kind of proven that they can tweak these things within a week, right? So if people, you know, you guys aren't happy, you just complain on Reddit, get 100 upvotes, bam, next week, we got this. 125% increased legendary beasts.
You mean they realized like over a month into the league that there was this bug that was like cutting like half the end game of the league for majority of the players most of the time.
I mean, nowadays you can't differentiate bugs with nerfs, right?
Yeah.
Like, same thing.
But what I don't understand. Okay, so they buffed them, right? And then they fixed them later. They buffed the rate of them spawning because of they didn't like know like how to fix the bug or something.
Mm-hmm.
How did they notice that the spawn rate was like so small, like so it didn't happen often for the first month? If they had like the expected spawn rate, and a lot of people were just like bitching that they are not actually seeing them. I'm just like wondering.
They were busy playing
they
the
gonna-
game. They were busy getting 12 challenges. You know what I'm saying? Like, they were doing things.
Small indie company.
But are you asking like why didn't GGG see it? That the numbers.
I'm saying
up?
that even if we don't see them often enough, that doesn't mean that they're actually gonna react early on when it's gonna like matter for the most of the players.
But people have to the players have to actually report it, right? They
I
have
mean,
to, like,
people were
they have to
complaining
think that
about
there's something wrong and
liches
report
for
this. Is
People
not
were
right.
complaining
the entire
about the spawn.
league
Yeah.
every day.
Well, they were supposed to be rare, right? So there's complaining. There's always people complaining when things like are not going their way, right? This is just how it is. People complain.
People complain even when they go their way.
Yeah. So it's like I don't know. Like it was already rare. It's supposed to be rare. So them having pushback and people saying, "Oh, this is super rare," might have been what they expected already. You don't like. If it's like half the drop rate or even 20%, they might just assume that that's gonna be what people were like. Just even that, the people will complain about it. Because it was supposed to be really rare because you get a guaranteed unique.
Yeah. How do you guys also feel about the trend recently of you have a league mechanic and you can only get the unique item from killing the boss at the end of this rare league? I've personally just never really been a fan of that because we had the same thing in Harby, we had it in Abyss, and we kind of have it here as well, where you won't get the crab items until you kill like the crab spirit beast or whatever.
I think it's fine.
I think it's better
Yeah,
than
it's-
Breach, where you've got a chance to drop the item, but then you also have a chance of not dropping the item if you're doing like the stuff that's supposed to be really rewarding in a
I
domain.
guess, yeah.
So I like this more because it's like it's an actual build up rather than a build up and then you go, whoops, I guess I didn't get shit.
Like doing Chila is also fun without getting anything. That felt really good.
Yeah, I
Like
did that with
Yeah.
Soft twice this league. I was like, here comes the Soft blood. No, fuck no, I didn't get anything. It's like, come on, dude. I spent like 2 months of playtime on this stuff and I don't get it. I don't know. It's a little bit better for me.
What do you think about? I think you mentioned this in your video, Cutedog. The idea of visual clutter being an issue, where people kind of already complain that.
Cutedog's like, what?
Well, I think.
Oh yeah, I know,
What
I know
did
what
I
you're talking
say?
about.
Yeah. So the
It was
idea
a long
that
video, boys.
you have to remember a specific beast to be capturing. In the
Oh, yeah,
meantime,
yeah.
your like animations are blowing up the entire screen. Like you're playing Spell Cascade, I don't know, Storm Call with 2 FPS, and then you're meant to be like, oh, that's the specific snake I need, or that's the cat, you know.
Yeah, I mean, actually, now that I think about it, like, well, I've been watching a lot of streams. Like, I don't stream Path of Exile like that long anymore. Like maybe a few hours, 3-4 hours, on a good day. And so, like, what I've been doing is like, since my sleep schedule and stuff, I've been watching like other streamers, just lurking in there, seeing their builds and like seeing what they're doing. And I don't think most people will have this issue anymore. But if you do choose to go like, gore, Herald of Ice, and like all this other crazy stuff, and you're running around. It's very likely that you're gonna like miss your net. You're gonna miss the mob that you need, and especially if there's a challenge. Let's say that there's like 4 challenges around like capture 50 out of 70 of the crabs, 50 out of 70 of the birds, the snack, all those things, and now you have to like, it's like, oh shit, I'm missing Bramble Cobra, and then give me a break. You're not gonna want to like differentiate that while you're playing the game, right? Like I think that's very much against what an ARPG is about. Like it's good to know what you're fighting. Yeah, I'm fighting these animals or like these demons or whatever, but having to like in any way differentiate like this is this kind of bear versus this kind of crab, I think that's like retarded.
Oh my god. Really? I'm like the complete opposite. That's the thing that I literally hate about the current state of the game. That mobs are just walking experience. They don't have names. They don't have combat abilities. They're just walking experience.
But I mean,
the opposite of that.
Maybe in a more generic, like, do you like how many types of snakes do you actually identify though? Like, if you were, you could like you can't tell the difference. All the snakes are the same,
Yeah,
right? Like in the Chimera Zone versus in Northern Forest when you're in Part 1, they're all exactly the same. Like, there's literally no difference. So like. Having like 12 categories is like.
I think you're probably gonna be able to set like tracking on a specific thing that you're trying to get, and then like it's gonna highlight the mob or something. Otherwise,
I hope.
shit.
I mean, there's so many of on the screenshots that are provided. There's just so many of them. I don't know. I just think it's kind of silly.
If there was a way, like in the book, as you said, Raiz, you could highlight, I need this kind of crab, and you had like the Tora arrow mission kind of thing, which kind of point you towards it if you're in that zone. That would help a lot. I think this league, if this league came out sort of pre-Ascendancy, it would have fitted perfectly with like the pace of the game. But this seems like... Because it seems to very much be a indirect attempt to try and slow down the game a little bit, because they want players to think about the monsters, right? But it seems kind of backwards in the fact that you've introduced a league which rewards having this very clear visual understanding of what you're doing, while at the same time just increasing clear speed by adding Abyss, adding Elder and Shaper. What we've seen of the new Ascendancies, it looks like the general power level is going to be pretty high. So we keep getting faster, and then rather than reining in the clear speed, they're trying to force us to slow down through league mechanics. We had this with Harby, we had this with Abyss. Chris has said himself that they think movement skills are overpowered, but if they nerf it, the player base will be unhappy. It seems like...
broken, even.
Yeah, it seems like they really want to slow down the game, but they're worried that there'll be too much backlash, that they're trying to force it through league mechanics. How do you feel about that?
That's tough in my opinion, because I mean, obviously, in terms of like public relations, they kind of that's their only way, right? Because whenever they released anything that even remotely resembled a nerf, you know, hey, power charges are 6% less efficient now for 95% of the builds out there. Outrage. Fucking everybody's angry. Hey guys, we buffed Glacial Hammer by 6%. What a joke, bunch of idiots don't know how to balance. So it's like, you can see that people are really, they get really heated when it comes to nerfs. And so, like, the only way they can really balance this stuff out is through, like, indirect changes that overall slow down the experience, right? Like, I don't feel like they have another option at this point, considering how many times they've been burnt. But maybe?
I can see that Karv wants to say something. He's got a face like he's trying to eat his own mouth or something. Like, what are you thinking?
It's well, you said like people are like outraged of the nerfs, and then on the other side, they bring the new Elder and Shaper items, and people are outraged of those. So it's doesn't matter what they do. There's like a huge amount of people who like it, and there's a huge amount of people who don't like it. So they can't do anything that like pleases everyone. So I don't know. It's
like they have
very,
to pick the
yeah, they
lesser
have to
evil.
pick, yeah, or like try to go to the middle ground, which is allow players who want to go fast. Like Nuki said earlier that it's a opportunity cost, right? So it is like is the reward just it's about the reward, right? In Harbinger, the reward often was worth, at least at the start, right? It wasn't always at the end, and you could always buy the orbs. So if the rewards from actually capturing the monsters is good enough, I think a lot of people are going to do it. But if the reward is not good and it takes too much time, then people are just going to skip it, right?
Talisman. Whenever people say stuff like this, I'm always like, Talisman. Oh my god. Yeah. I mean, however, I feel like however people play, they're gonna be engaged by this. Like, I feel like they kind of went for a middle ground where, because they've been talking about that, right? That there's different types of leagues where either they're like super intrusive, like your Beyonds and possibly like Invasions, for instance, and then there's leagues that are optional, which is, partially Breach, partially Abyss, like a middle ground Harbinger, I guess. And this is just another middle ground league where by playing the game, you will engage in these things, and you can kind of choose to do it, but at the same time, like, it's so in your face, why wouldn't you, type of thing. And then, yeah, if the rewards for it are going to be Talisman like, where it's just nothing, then yeah. But who knows, maybe for instance this is gonna be like another way to grind XP or something that we don't know about, right? Like, you're sacrificing enough mobs so that you get like a special arena where there's just a fuck ton of XP, so everybody gets a little. You can craft your item, or you can get a lot of XP. Shit.
Do you think that the game, like, that every new league that gets created should be for everyone though? Right, and then and hear me out here, because we have so much content in the game now. Like, as long as there's something there for like everyone, but the way we play the game is so vastly different now. People are running lab. You're probably not going to run lab if you want to do beast farming, right? Probably not. You're not going to do Shaper farming. Like, there's like, people do Shaper, they do all this endgame content, they rush to 100. A lot of people trade. If you trade, you're not engaging either. That's a valid play style. I feel like they're just, to me it seems that they're not trying. I feel like they're adding things to the game that are fun, right? Shaper and Elder items were like a necessary progression item-wise that we're needing. Like, rare items sucked. Like, nobody wanted to engage with them, so they introduced that. Someone at the office probably came out with like, oh, a Bestiary Pokemon League. Oh, that seems fun. People will probably enjoy that, rather than, oh, we need to fix clear speed. I think they just have ideas that they just want to put in the game, and then they try and make it so that everyone kind of gets to engage in it. And I think everyone will engage with the Beast League, right? If there's some super rare one that's like almost unkillable, and you find it, I was like, okay, I'll do that now, and I'll engage with that, and I get to like craft my OP thing. Maybe I have to do like a few finicky things, but I don't know. Sometimes I think like people over read into like all these things that GDD is like trying to fix, rather than just creating a fun experience for as many people as possible.
So what you're saying is that it's a missed out opportunity, because if one of the rewards for capturing the mobs would be a Pokemon battle, the game would be a lot more successful. Wouldn't be for everyone, but I mean, everybody loves Pokemon. God damn it!
But like, you can't at this point. It's nearly impossible unless you make it like super generic. It's nearly impossible to engage the entire community.
Yeah. No, I agree with that for sure.
Would you guys agree that? Because I kind of agree with you. If this is a mechanic which is definitely added into the core game, do you kind of agree? It looks like they've put so much development that this is just like. They'll obviously test see if people like it, but this seems like a core game edition, kind of like Prophecy. Like, it was so obvious the Prophecy was just going core.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
I think this is also a way for them, like, because there's been a lot of talk about that, right? Like, the mobs are walking experience and stuff like that. Like, this is a way, you know, it's not combat, but this is a way to engage with mobs on, like, a different level, too. So, it is addressing an issue, I guess.
Yeah, it definitely is, right? It's like creating some play space there for those who enjoy that, which might be needed.
Yeah.
And there is coming things like for the top echelon, like they said, like for the very most hardcore of players, we're getting like stuff too. For maybe not the clear speed people might be the ones losing out the most here, right? But the people doing boss farming and the people just enjoying the game at a regular pace, which is most people, they're gonna have something to do. Uber Elder's coming as well. Tons of uniques, probably stuff that everyone can enjoy as well. There's so much other content as well coming in.
Yeah, I mean, the major thing is the Ascendancy reworks and stuff like that, right? I mean, we know what happens when a new Atlas gets released. We're working the entire meta and like different abilities and stuff. That's definitely gonna take a while for people to figure out.
Yeah, I think adding this league, which might potentially be to quite a niche audience, alongside the additional new Fated Prophecy items and alongside the Ascendancy rework, means that at least for everyone on 3.2, there will be a reason to log in. Like, everyone will have a reason to log in, be it to see whatever the new meta is thanks to the Ascendancy changes or what the new Faded uniques are. So in that sense, I guess it works quite well.
It's a little bit for everybody, sure. Yeah, that's why I'm saying it's kind of tough here, right? Because it's so hard to judge, because like even the Ascendancy changes, a lot of them, like people calling out whether or not this will be like the Ascendancy changes are strong or weak and whatnot, like all of it is in perspective to other classes. You have to compare like other classes to make a decision whether something is strong or not, because we don't know what the other classes are going to be. But people already freaking out about like stuff being overpowered or underpowered and all that. Who cares if Berserker has this and that if another class is going to have double of that, right?
I had someone ask me, like, dude, do you think Chieftain's OP for your Tornado Shot build? And I'm like, I don't fucking know. Like, we've literally seen 2 of, what, like, 20 Ascendancies. Like, this is so good for Signal Fire! It's like, what are you doing? Like, can we at least see some of the other options? Or, like, there was one guy freaking out that because they've removed generic leech from Berserker, there are no longer any leech options for spellcasters. It's like they're probably going to add spell leech to like Elementalist or something.
No. Every other Ascendancy class is completely the same. They ain't going to change anything. They just showed 2 that they're going to change, right? All the changes.
Yeah.
Oh, they are representing it altogether. I'm surprised because they are representing it as a complete like Ascendancy class rework.
Yeah.
Which I thought there's going to be a lot, but I didn't think they're going to like heavily address every single class. And especially in the case of like Berserker, they're introducing a new mechanic, essentially. It's pretty big.
What was your guys' reaction to the rage mechanic? I know you weren't too fond of it, Raiz.
You cut off.
Oh, sorry. I said, what was your guys' reaction to the rage mechanic? I know you weren't very fond of it, Raiz.
Forget at the same time.
All right, I'll go first. I think it's great. I like what they're doing with Berserker. It's in all instances of mapping, it's a buff to what we had before, right? Because before it was like 15% move speed if you haven't been hit recently, like so a little bit of damage reduction or something, and then what else was there? Like just 20% attack speed, whatever. But like now it's like you get juicier attack damage or attack speed. You get I mean the DJ doesn't really matter that much, right? Because like the war cry is every 2 seconds is 25%. You just spam that. It's a really fast cast. So it's basically like 12.5 regen per second if you think about it that way. And then your leech is...
that lowers your clear speed, no? Because you gotta use it.
Yeah, I guess so. But like overall, it's a bunch of attack speed, move speed that's up all the time. Like 50 rage is the max, right? And like from playing Hierophant, what is it, like Pursuit of Faith or just whatever it is, the stacking one, you're always gonna have that, especially with Warcry. It's giving 5. It's gonna be, I think overall it's a buff for mapping. For bossing, I have no idea, but for mapping, it's a good change, and it's cool, right? It's just like a cool thing that they add. It's just like, how are you gonna track that? Is there gonna be if there's a buff like on the top bar, that's gonna be a nightmare. They should add like a rage bar in between your mana and your life, I think.
I wouldn't be surprised, honestly. I think every class is going to get its own unique like build-up stat. I think Rage for Berserker, then like Faith for Templar for one of the Ascendancies, that sort of thing. I think they're definitely going to introduce some sort of extra bar. Because this would be so weird, right? That they're introducing this mechanic, but they're just like...
I would expect to see like one more. Maybe I could imagine them doing something with Elementalist, having like using multiple elements or something. Element juggling or something.
Yeah, I mean, like I think that would be cool. But you said like overall it's a cool thing. How do you feel that Berserker? You basically can't do well. 2 things, I guess. How do you feel that Berserker is primarily like a attack-based class now, since they changed up a lot of things? And also, do you guys think that the maximum life, how is that going to work with CI? Does that just like degen it, or doesn't degen at all?
It's such like a big travel. I think it's fine, because like you get aspect now of Carnage for what, 2 points instead of 4, so it's like, I guess if you really want to go spellcaster, you still can, kind of. You would just go you would just be like, I don't know, you'd still get the movement speed and the attack speed, I guess. You want to shield charge around with like a more multiple. I don't know. It's kind of weird, but you can definitely see how they're trying to like specialize it, right? I think that's cool.
The degen does seem a little high though. It will be because if you're doing the rage spec, you're almost definitely taking the node which doubles the rage bonus. So that would be 0.4% of your maximum life per rage. So 0.4 times by 50. Yeah, that's pretty heavy.
They don't kill you.
And it's not like you have Slayer Volpact. If you had this on Slayer, then it would like balance out really nicely.
And it's not mitigatable in any way, I don't think either. Because I know one of the things that they announced was like physical damage, right? So you could like mitigate it. But this doesn't seem mitigatable by anything.
And won't it also be multiplied by the 10% increased damage taken?
Is DJ? Yeah, maybe. I mean, what you could do is I bet there's going to be some unique items for it. Once again, if it's 20% a second, and you gain 12.5 per second technically from Warcry, right? Then you need, it's 20 minus 12.5. You're gonna need a little bit of either regen or leech, and the leech is what, 10% per second max life, right?
20 is the base.
20? Okay, yeah, then you're fine. You're fine.
Unless you stop attacking for a second, right?
Like,
there's gonna be some uniques.
Like whenever you get really fast clear speed, how often do you actually take damage? Most of the time you kill things so fast, so when you like a lot of builds, once they get to a certain point, you're just one-shotting everything, and you're regenning so much life with like life gain on a hit, leech. You have a potion you can click. Like if you're killing 100 monsters every like 4 seconds, or maybe every second even, right? You can probably click your life potion like pretty quickly. And just
Do we need more damage though? Like, I doubt this will be the fastest mapper. That's the one thing which concerns me. So if you're doing this just to be like pure clear speed junkie, I'm assuming New Raider is probably still faster.
possibly.
No, but like, because people talk about leech, like, isn't it like half a rage? Like one rage gets removed every half a second. So if you're like not leeching for 2 seconds, you know, that's only 4 rage that's gone, but you're still degenning like a boatload. So if you finish the map, unless you like immediately exit the map, you don't even have time to loot, right? If it's not mitigatable and you don't have regeneration, like if you're strictly relying on your leech, you're just gonna die before you can pick up an item.
It's Warcry for days, right? As well.
Warcry every 2 seconds. You'd also kind of be forced into using an overtime health pot as well.
Your mic is cutting off then.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Like every
I think
sentence.
it's only cutting off on Discord. I don't think it's cutting off on OBS. I'll try and play
Maybe
with
it's the
settings.
threshold or something. I don't
Yeah,
know.
sorry. I'll
Okay,
play with it.
so my take on Berserker. Well, let me just start that you can mitigate it. It's damage over time, right? You can mitigate damage over time. I think there's an Pantheon for that too, right? Let's like reduce damage taken over time, something like that. And on the topic of like Berserker, I kind of like it because it's very thematic, right? You get a lot of like offensive bonus, and then you get a lot of like a defensive debuffs, right? You take more damage, but you take increased damage for more damage for your actual skills, right? And then this one, you get a lot of attack speed, movement speed, and attack. Was it like 100% attack damage if you have the double effect, right? And like 50% attack speed or something like that. It's like it's a crazy amount. So it's I'm just wondering, are other classes gonna be getting this kind of like huge bonuses for huge debuffs, or is it just because Berserker? I mean, it fits.
I think.
Yeah, I think it's just Berserker.
I think there's definitely going to be more stuff like that, because I always thought the mechanic, like on-kill mechanics and all that sort of stuff was pretty popular in PoE. I'd be surprised if other classes don't get some sort of like build-up ability that basically keeps you up for the zoom zooms. Like, people like the zoom zooms, and if you want to pick a class, like you said, like maybe Templar gets Faith, maybe Witch gets like some sort of special mana, Assassin gets Power of Shadows. I don't know.
Yeah.
Something.
On that, you talk about the buffs, right? Getting like a new bar or something. Can't they just like force the rage to be at your top, like the first buff in the top left corner? Basically,
I would assume they could.
Basically,
they could, but that's annoying, no?
It would be nicer if it was in the middle of the screen. And also, for the whole, can't you just use war cries? War cries give you rage. So in the case of you've killed the boss, you're degenning, and I'll just use a war cry to stop myself from dying. Every time you war cry, you create more rage, so you're still constantly degenning.
But you have regen as well. And
but we're also in a league where they're trying to promote pausing to capture beasts. So you're playing a Berserker, and now if you stop mapping, then you start degenning really crazy. But then you have to skip beasts or stop to net the beasts and then warcry. If there was a way to instantly like wipe your rage, I think that like if you had like in most other games you would have your finisher move which like empties all your rage and does the super attack. If there was like a rage spender, that would be really cool, right? So it's like you're juggling this buff, you're getting loads of damage, taking more damage, and then warcry gave you a buff for 5 seconds and consumed all rage or something.
Wait, what was the name of the last ability that they haven't announced? Maybe that's it for like all the classes.
That's Tectonic Strike. That's
Strike. Yeah.
Yeah, that's just like a fancy looking Sunder.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Kind of looked like it.
Oh yeah, and apparently the rage wording was you lose maximum life, you don't degen, so you can mitigate it with reduced damage taken.
Yeah, that's what I thought too.
Yeah.
Get a lot of regen
unless they classify it as degen, but I don't think they do.
But that's a lot of regen, and like if you're getting regen, then you're sacrificing getting other things because it's like 20 per second, 20% of your max life per second, unmitigatable. Like
5 seconds is a long time in PoE, though.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like have you played with Onigurushi at all?
Yeah, it's really
Sorry,
fun.
if we're going to use the item, can we
didn't
use the
seem
proper
that.
name?
It didn't seem that like.
Well, but that's like super mitigatable.
Yeah, but even like, I've played it for a while without having too much mitigation for it. Like I pretty much had none. At some stages, I was like, oh, okay, I'm taking some damage. It's kind of like, okay, we go a little low, potion up here and not like here and then. It was like, it wasn't
Yeah, but
that
the
bad.
numbers, I think the numbers are like drastically different. And
Yeah.
I mean, if somebody's doing this, then he always has like really high amount of this. Like, don't get me wrong, I don't think like it's cool to have a discussion on whether or not this is powerful. All things considered, I think this is really fucking cool. Like playstyles like this that you have to figure things out exactly like Onigoroshi. You don't have to necessarily, in the case of Onigoroshi, you don't have to necessarily build around it as much as you would here, in my opinion. But it's a really, really fun playstyle because you always feel the pressure. Or like playing, you know, Volpact Blood Rage in the past, you know, where there wasn't so much leech and stuff, and you were degenning, and if you didn't kill anything and you looked away for 5 seconds, you were to half HP. It's like, that shit's fun, man. Keeps you focused, keeps you going. It's really cool. That's why I would like to see more of that in other things. The same way if you're like looting and you're not killing mobs, and you're picking up wisdom scrolls or something, and you see your, you know, whatever your energy thing is going down, and you're just like, oh shit, I'm gonna feel this in a second when I engage this next pack. That's really cool to me. It's clear speedy, but it's the right type of clear speed in my opinion, where it does feel rewarding if you're playing well, if you're doing good.
Before we move on then, and I'm mostly curious on your opinion, Nugi, because I feel like this is something Moors would say. Because this Ascendancy is very heavily themed around attacks, how do we feel around Ascendancies which are so pigeonholed when the whole point of old PoE was you can be anything? Whereas now you would never be a spellcaster Berserker because all the damages are just raw attack, like attack leech, attack rage. How do we feel that we're losing a little bit of that utility?
I don't know. It's hard to say because if you make everything super generic, it also gets kind of like, well, it doesn't really matter, right? Then you just pick kind of like the thing. Okay, I want to be flasks here. I want to be that there. I want to be that there. And then it's like there's still only one choice. At least this is introducing some cool mechanics. Because Morris would say that he doesn't even want Ascendancies at all, right? That's kind of his position. So I don't know. It's tough.
More crafting. This is Moore's biggest nightmare. more like deterministic crafting. Jesus Christ.
It's just like you sometimes get people who kind of think it's a little bit lame that, you know, if Summoner is your favorite kind of build, you will always and only ever be a Necromancer. You'll never try anything else.
I do think that's the problem, yeah.
Yeah,
but
that's because there's only one thing.
It. That's why they're changing it, no? This is exactly the reason why they're changing the Ascendancies, I feel like, because Necromancer was a problem, that there was only one way. I feel like with the Berserker, like, I feel like either there's going to be a more castery class. I mean, Chieftain is kind of a, you can do whatever you want as long as it includes fire type of situation. But I think the last class, because, well, maybe it's still Juggernaut's just gonna be like a big tank. But then, like, imagine if they make it so that CI does not degen with Berserker. Then you've got a melee energy shield thing that has to travel all the way up there and at the same time sacrifice all the points that don't benefit your defenses over at Marauder type of situation. I don't know, that's really cool. So I don't feel like that's that bad.
I think I would agree with the dude in chat. It doesn't feel like they're changing. It just feels like they're doubling down on Ascendancy identity. I would be incredibly surprised if Necromancer didn't just become even better and the only summoner option. I would be very surprised.
Double down on Sextants in War for the Atlas. I mean, maybe shit. That would be scary. That I wouldn't like. Yeah, that's too much.
Yeah, it's weird. Like Berserker is basically for all attack builds, right? So that's a huge amount of builds still, versus the summoner builds. It's pretty much just narrowed down to Necro, but the Necro has another problem that is just like you can do. I mean, I don't know if it's a problem. Like Necromancer can do pretty much everything, right? You just slap Scourge in and you can do anything, really. So it's just, I think it would be nice if Berserker was able to do like like caster, because right now Berserker doesn't look. If you want to do caster, it's pretty much attack speed, right?
Yeah.
Unless we start getting like new items or keystones or something like that, that would like start like letting you affect like scale spell damage from attack damage or something like that.
Like the
So,
inverse Crown of Ice.
yeah. So they
Yeah, but that's really
can,
cool.
they could do it, and yeah, I don't know.
I haven't looked at it that way at all. That's a really smart way to look at it, where a necromancer is the summoner dude, but at the same time, a necromancer is everything in the game. Whatever you can think of outside of like bow specific things. You can play a witch, that's melee, that's a caster, whatever you want. And maybe that's the better way to approach it, to introduce these items that are like an item, for instance, that converts rage to be global, or converts rage to cast speed and spell damage. The same way a Scourge Claw makes, you know, minion damage, global damage. If they do something like that, that's even more diversity. And yeah, a Necromancer is basically everything in the game.
I don't think they'll do something rage specific, because they said in the post they wanted to have Ascendancy specific mechanics, which were only from Ascendancies, not from items. So they might make something where it's like all attack speed and attack damage modifiers or spell damage, like Crown of Eyes or like the Scourge Claw, but they're not going to start making the rage item, because if you then made the rage item and rage was a good mechanic, you would never play Berserker. You would play, you know, Pathfinder, but with the rage item.
Yeah. No, that would be a really tough task to really do something like that for every class. But if they manage to do it, because initially I thought like Scourge Claw was a little bit not that cool, because it was like, okay, so basically whatever I do, I equip Scourge Claw and bam, that's my Necromancer. But really, yeah, looking at it from the perspective of it enables everything, that's really cool. And if they manage to introduce that for the other classes, I think that would be some pretty heavy build diversity increases. Especially with the amount of shit that they're introducing, like crab barriers and all this stuff that they... Hey guys, look at the stats of this item. It's got a special ability too. Wink wink, you have no idea what it is, so might as well not look at the item. It's like they did that a lot.
We do actually know what Crab Barrier does. I can read it to you if you'd like.
Sure. Okay.
Let me try and find it. Okay. Prevents around 2% damage for each barrier you've accumulated over time. We don't know what the maximum number of barriers are. But yeah, so the crab items were, like, when you get hit, only lose 7 barriers. When you would gain a barrier, it said gain up to 10 barriers. So... I think, can we all agree that Crab Barrier is, like, the laziest name they could have possibly come up with? Because
what? That's awesome.
Crab Barrier.
Aspect of the crab.
What about, like Chitius Shell, or, like, I don't know, something, just Crab Barrier is a bit...
Crusty Barrier.
I don't know.
Yeah, the crusty barrier.
How much crust do you have on you? Enough.
The crusty shell. Crusty shell layer.
Can I backtrack back to the league?
Yeah, go for it.
So we capture monsters, right? We capture our POV mons. So is there a limit? Like, we have our little zoo, right? Is there gonna be a limit how many like types of mobs we can have? And can we like trade the mobs? There's like there could be some interesting potential for trading too if the actual monsters are terrible.
As far as we're aware, you cannot trade the monsters, and yes, there is a limit to the specific ones. So you could have 5 of this type of crab. So once you have those 5 crabs, you can't capture any more.
Okay. You can have 1 of each gender, and then you have to fight through the 7 leaders, and then after that you get the paperwork to build your arc, which is the end game boss and the ultimate crafting experience in Path of Exile.
When they show the page, you can see it has like that number next to like the out of that you can have, as far as I'm aware. So you might be in this really awkward situation where, you know, you've got your maximum number of crabs, so you feel like you have to craft with your crabs, so you're not wasting the resource. It would be like if when you were mapping, you could only have 5 alchemies and 5 fuse orbs at once. So it's like you've picked up your 5 fuse, and then you think, now do I keep mapping and just ignore every fuse that drops? Or do I now go back to my zoo and force some crafts so I can start picking up fusing again? That's a weird...
I mean, that's probably for the best of it. That's like for the sake of the people, no? Where it's like the people who get a million, you know, crabs, but they never do anything with them. So they just like keep getting crabs, and at the end of their league, they're like, fucking this shit league. All these crabs don't do shit. I don't know. Or maybe it makes you like shift your priorities too, right?
Do you think that's maybe also a way to try and like push people off just running one kind of layout? Because you know how like there are some monsters more likely appear in certain maps, so maybe it's the thing of like they're trying to make it so that, for example, if Cutedog's only farming channel again, he's got all of his little brown birdies, but now shit, I can't get any more brown birdies, so I'm gonna purposely run the Sins layout because that has the snacks. Do you think they're maybe trying to push people around the Atlas a little bit?
Yeah.
Hopefully.
Yeah.
Probably, yeah.
Yeah.
Do you think that will work?
Yeah. Oh, like for some, not for everyone, obviously. Like with everything, right? There's like not everyone does Shaper Elder at all either, but for those who do, like, they do go around the map.
It depends specifically on. I think the biggest question would be like, if the big boy mobs, the rare mobs, could only spawn in like specific map types, or if it's just like completely randomized. Any mob can spawn anywhere, but like for instance, if you need like a really rare snack, it has a bigger chance to spawn the map that has like implicit snakes in it. Because then it would be pretty impactful. Otherwise, I mean, I guess.
We will move on to the Elder Orb and Atlas thing. I know Karv really wants to talk about it. Before we move on, is there anything else anyone wants to say about the whole, like, snakes and crabs and cats? We can always come back to it later, because we always go backwards, but before we move on, is there any, like, closing things you guys want to say?
Yes.
Go.
No.
Nope. I forgot. I was gonna say something about the menagerie, but then I forgot. I was gonna say, you know how like if you go to the new crafting bench with the monsters, and it like shows you, it's either gonna show you if you have the mats available or not. Why is there the menagerie? Because if they took away the menagerie, because like obviously the cage has a fixed physical size, right? If they just took it away, you could have unlimited. You just capture 100 crabs at a time. A billion roas, you know what I'm saying? I don't know.
Well, they had the zoo, I think. I don't know. I think I know what he's saying. He's basically saying, why did they make the zoo? Because having the zoo puts like a cap on what you can capture. Whereas if it didn't exist, you would just.
And you're not even in there. Now. Why would I be there instead of my hideout? You know what I'm saying? Like, you just go to the crafting bench. I can see if I have the mats for it and how many. I don't have to walk around the menagerie. And if I have a legendary that's super cool, like the red T-Rex thing, and I want to see that, like, I'm probably going to use that soon for a crafting recipe, and I won't have it anymore. You know, it's like, it's kind of weird.
It does seem, I will agree, because as far as I'm aware, it has completely separate interactions to your hideouts. Like, you'll have your hideout, and then I'm assuming you'll probably have another waypoint, which is your zoo, right? So you're only going to be in your menagerie to look at your animals and sacrifice them to the altar. So the whole time you're in your hideout, it's not like you get to show off this crazy legendary cat that you captured. And then
if they shift it, they can change it up. Imagine if like Chris Wilson went hunting one time when he was on a press tour in America, and he really likes hunting and he's like really crazed about it now. So after you sacrifice the animals, you get a hideout MTX of the head of the animal that you can put on a wall, and you can show off to all the hot bitches that you bring into your hoe. Huh?
That would be cool if that existed, but it probably doesn't exist.
Dude, it's happening, man.
But I will agree, it does feel a little odd that you would you would design all this, like, you would basically design a town, and we know there are, like, different layouts and different, like, customizations you can have for your menagerie, and it will change depending on what you've captured. So you've spent all this time, like, developing this system, but then are we ever going to spend any time in there? If you're AFKing, you're probably AFK in your hideout, and if you're going to AFK to watch Netflix on your other monitor, does it really matter where your character is stood? I know that, Nugi, for a long time, you've really wanted to bring back that sense of, like, player community and, like, people AFKing in towns again. Mm-hmm. We all kind of assume this will add core, so all they've actually done is just made towns even more empty because you're either AFK in your hideout or AFK in your menagerie.
Yeah, this doesn't do anything for that at all.
Yeah.
I feel like they've kind of like that is no longer that is a pipe dream that's never gonna happen again, I think.
I mean, they do like hideouts, right?
And we have menageries now, and nobody's ever gonna stay in the town anymore. Everything is gonna be instant, and that's just how it is.
Yeah.
Like they do have like the thing that's weird, right? We have this new hub in like the epilogue or whatever, right? Super large area and everything. Like I don't know.
I thought they're gonna do something like when they were talking about like possibly introducing like marketplace for trading and stuff like that. I was like, this is literally a marketplace. Like,
yeah.
I thought they're gonna do something, but yeah, there's really nothing ever happening there.
Karv knows some secrets happening there.
Yeah, of course. Everything Raiz said is actually true. It's gonna happen.
If you tickle the Kitava head under the chin, it opens a special portal to Uber Elder. There you go. Actually.
Okay. So to move on then from the hideout thing, and I do think it's a bit odd. So going into Uber Elder, and before we talk about the Uber Elder fight itself, I know Karv really wants to talk about the Tier 16 orb. So Karv, Tier 16 orb, and I'm going to quickly go to the loop. BRB.
Yeah, so once you kill the actual T15 Red Elder, right, you have to have Elder in a T15 to get the 15th fragment. After you do that, the like the door, which was teased like in the expansion, right, opens, and you can get the T16 orb, which allows you to upgrade any map into a T16. And in one of the thread, like the I think it was on IGN or somewhere else. I don't remember where it was, but there was mentioned that after you complete the map, you can like access the Uber Elder. So like I don't know, like I don't really want to trust like the specifics how they're gonna work. So how you guys think it's gonna work? Like, do we still need to get Elder to like possess the T16 first, and then we get the fragments from them, or how will the
so.
Yeah, like how will it actually, like what will it like do?
The way I
like how do we spawn him? Or...
Yes, and is there limitations? Because I talked a lot of this in the when I was going through this, and there's like a lot of different possibilities, right? So will Elder like possess Shaper and his guardians when you shape or like when you upgrade a map into a T16? Because that's like what one of the articles like led us to believe, that when you upgrade the map into T16, then you can like access the Uber Elder. So that makes me think that if you have a T16 map in your Atlas, like the upgraded one, Shaper and his guardians are permanently like controlled or possessed by Elder, and you can't farm normal Shaper anymore.
I understood this as if you have to get a guardian on the T16 guardians, and then I would imagine that he drops an Uber fragment the same way they drop a normal fragment, and then you put them together and you get to fight Uber Elder.
So you
but
think
you
it's
have
gonna
to actually get the spawn on the T16.
Yeah, so you think it's gonna be the exact same as it is now. So it's gonna be like incredibly hard to actually farm Uber Elder.
I think so.
It's gonna be nearly impossible.
Yeah,
if that's the case, yeah.
Yeah, and another thing is, right now we can't, when Elder pops into your Atlas and possesses things, you can't like remove it anymore, right? you actually have to do the fight.
Uh-huh.
Will you actually have to do the Uber Elder fight in order to be able to farm like normal Shaper again, for example? That sounds like
I think
Like-
I think I think the Guardians are the annoying part. I think Uber Shaper himself will be like Shaper just from like gathering fragments. I don't think there's gonna be like a physical manifestation of it anywhere on the Atlas. Just fragments, Uber fragments.
Yeah, I think that when you like upgrade a mapping to D16, at that point, Elder will like possess the middle of the Shaper. That's like my guess, but like I didn't find any like information on how it actually
Well, that
will
could
work.
be it. Then it would be actually doable. One time you go through like how annoying that shit is, and then
Yeah. And then you
Yeah,
can just
that
then
makes
you
more
can
sense.
unshape the map for the cost of what 20 chisels and 5 regrets, and now it's normal Shaper again. Like the guard, like you remove the Elder possession from there. So at that point, it would mean that you can't farm normal Shaper and your precise D16. Like you can't have them at the same time.
I mean, it's probably better, to be honest. Because if you can just do like all the difficult shit at the same time,
It will also make it harder to actually farm Uber Elder when you have the D16, because then you have another D16 on top of the Guardians that can drop. Then if you have them all unlocked in your Atlas. I'm just wondering what, like,
so
how
where
would
do
it
you
actually go?
Because you have to fight like 4 Guardians first before you get the before you go in and fight the Uber Elder as well. So
Yes.
how do
like,
you get those fragments?
I
Is
mean,
it
it's
regular
probably just
fragments,
the
or-
normal map, right? And you go to the fight, and Elder just pops him and,
Yeah.
kills Guardian and gives you
Uh-huh.
the Uber Guardian, right?
Okay.
That's basically
Think
what
so.
was teased in the expansion that they never actually got the game.
Mm.
I mean, that would
Right.
also make sense with the fact that currently you can't put Elder on T16 maps at all.
Yeah.
It only goes up to 15s, so this would make sense. It's just really,
Wait, how do we
really
get the
fucking
how will
annoying.
we get the
The Elder Orb?
the orb then?
The Elder Orb.
Is that when you get the last fragment?
When you get the 15th fragment, you can
unlock the 60 orb.
you can open the door in the Templar lab, and the orb is there.
Oh, okay, yeah, makes sense.
You can
Hey.
there's a door in the Templar lab? What?
Yeah, the thing that was also teased in the expansion trailer or whatever, when the door opens, but it actually never opened. Or it was closed, I don't remember. Basically, all of this what we're getting was teased on the expansion, but it just never got to the expansion.
Wait, but then you don't have to kill Uber Elder to get the T16 orb?
No.
No.
As far as
No.
I'm aware, you just get the 15 fragments, then you get the 16.
That sounds like a pretty good gatekeeper to have T16 orb behind Uber Elder.
Yeah,
I mean,
and like, how many people
I
are going to
mean-
fucking kill Uber Elder? Like, no one. It'll be like 4 people.
The uniques better be worth it.
T16 is pretty OP though.
Yo, did you guys see that Chris said that in one of the articles that he thought only 8 people would be using the uniques from Uber Elder? He literally said 8 people.
Wait,
Who
Because
what?
he
are
think-
those
he
8
thinks it's
people?
that scary.
So I'm
he said
guessing
it's
he
that,
thinks it's you, Ziz, Dan, and then, what, Ziz's next 5 dead characters or something?
He said it's something that he wants the regular players to strive for later on. But if like only 8 people use these items, that just means no one's playing your game, right? That would suck. So I think he was being a little bit iffy.
There
go on.
is a door.
Yeah, there's.
Yeah, there's a closed... Okay, Raiz, there's a door. We can get past the door. So,
There's literally a door right there. It's like chained up and shit.
yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Sorry.
It's been there for a while.
Sorry, I don't look like random doors here, dude.
But
Shit.
yeah. It seems like very few people will kill it, especially in hardcore.
Yeah, well, I
Looks
think
like
I
a
think,
success
I think the
cluster
main
fight.
reason why people won't engage with it is because the fucking Elder and Shaper mechanics suck so bad in terms of like how you kind of progress and how little control you have. Because you can, after having farmed Elder for quite a bit now and seeing the randomness of it, right? Where you have like, okay, oh, I have like all my red maps. Oh, it's spawned on a yellow.
That's why I think
And
it's a
you just do it
good
again,
thing
and you
that
just keep spawning the wrong place, and you might go through like 100 elder kills, and you might just need the last one, right, where you get it on the high level one. Unless there's some kind of like control where you, at some point, like it will then gradually like try and go further up. Unless there's some way that you can do that, then it's gonna be the most
If the
frustrating thing
Elder
ever.
Guardian runs away, you don't actually kill him, but he like moves up until he gets to the big suck, and then he does the big suck on the T16, and then he's there. Not like you defeat the Guardian and he just disappears. Instead, he
Yeah,
like
but
keeps
like,
moving up every time you mess
Oh,
him
like
up.
that could be interesting, I guess.
So the way that we're all picturing it works is you have to physically force Elder onto
Yeah.
Phoenix, kill it. Physically force it onto
No.
Minnow, kill it. Physically force it onto Hydra, kill it. Physically force it onto Chim, kill it. Like, are we thinking you actually have to physically get all 4 of the Shaper Guardians, like,
I
eldered?
think it's gonna be like that, honestly.
I don't
That's
think
how I read it, but...
I really
That's how I
hope it's
understood
not,
it.
'cause that's gonna be so annoying. Unless you can force it so that if you can get his influence out there, that it will always trigger him right on the actual map. Like it has to. If it's not like that, it's gonna be a shit system.
I don't understand why they would put actual Elder into the T16 and not just the, like, Elder possesses the Shaper and all of the actual Guardians are now Uber Guardians.
Yeah, that's what I understood from what you were saying.
Yeah,
Like
that's exactly what I
But then
what I
how
think.
would you
Yeah,
do
you
it?
get the fragment, right, and then it turns that entire realm into now Elder
Yeah.
goes there.
You get the Elder Orb, you upgrade a map into a T16, now you use the Elder Orb instead of a Shaper Orb in your Atlas, now Elder will possess the middle of
Takes
the Atlas.
over, okay.
Yes, that's like the
Okay.
like how I see it's gonna happen.
Oh, okay.
And then while you have the Elder, like the Elder Orb in a map, so you have a upgraded T16 map, the Guardians and the Shaper will always be like the Uber version.
And then if you want to do Shaper again, you Elder,
Yes.
unshape the tier
Yes.
16, get Shaper back. Okay.
Yeah, but that's so powerful now. Like, I feel like one system is something that you're never gonna be able to accomplish. It
I
was a
mean,
massive amount of
getting-
effort. And the other system is like, oh, let me just farm Elder. Okay, let me farm Shaper. Okay, let me farm Uber Shaper. It's like you can rotate it constantly with like no.
You're making it
difficulty.
sound too easy to farm.
You still
Like
need
you
to
get-
pick up the fragments, and you still
Yeah,
need
you
to
still-
get the maps, which is of
you
the
f-
highest tier, which is really hard.
Raiz, what was the last orb you got? Did you actually got past the first 10 orbs in the beginning of it?
Fuck no.
I didn't
Yeah, you
I
actually
got
have-
like 12 orbs, I think, this
Yeah,
week.
like you actually have to spawn Elder on a T15, right, to get the last orb.
Yeah.
That alone is like a huge task if you can't like somehow force it to spawn in the higher maps.
Yeah.
That alone is gonna take a lot of time for a lot of people to get. And then why wouldn't you reward the people who actually get there? Like T15 Elder isn't exactly that joke.
Okay.
So considering, because one thing which worries me a little bit, so like you guys will get this, and you guys are a lot more extreme than I am. I get accused of being the 1% elite. So if me and Raiz haven't bothered getting our 15 fragments, how many people do you think will actually just get a tier 16 map? Ignoring Uber Elder, like, how many people think will actually just get a tier 16 map? Because that's a very teeny weeny eeny bit of the player base.
Yeah, but who the fuck fights Elder and Shaper at the same time too, right?
No, again, we're not talking about like Uber Elder. Like, ignore that. Who do you think's actually going to get the tier 16 map? Like
That's
that
a-
alone.
1%, I think.
Less.
Not even
Yeah,
less,
that's probably-
way less.
Mm.
You can always buy it up until that point, right? You can just buy it.
Oh yeah, what happened?
So
Can you
you-
just like
Yeah.
get somebody else to run like Uber Elder for you over and over, and you keep dropping the extra orbs or something? Like
The
the
orb-
11,
the orb-
12, 13.
Even if you
That
buy
could
up to
work.
like, 14, you can do a little bit extra legwork yourself. It should be fine. It'll be a little expensive, but
Yeah, I guess on softcore there'll probably be people just selling it. On hardcore there might be like Dan and Waggle selling it or something. Ziz
like, if
probably or
it's
something.
if
For a
it's like
day.
you can chain, right? If you can chain tier 16, whatever map that you enjoy, and it doesn't go away after a use, then level 100 is gonna be so easy. Like, it's gonna be ridiculously easy, right? If you can sustain, that is.
Yeah, I was about
So I
to
think
ask,
Cool
are you
wanted for
actually
100.
Yeah, I was about to ask, are you actually gonna sustain that specific tier 16?
I mean,
Wait, but
maybe.
Elder Orb
You
isn't like a
could.
shaper orb, right? It can take any map and make
Yeah,
Yeah,
you
it
could do like
yeah.
beach. You could do like a tier 16 beach.
I
That
wonder
would
if
be
it's permanent, right? Like, what if
Yeah.
it goes away after you kill the Elder? You gotta get it again. That would suck. Then I wouldn't do it. But if it made my channels into a T16, and then I can four
so
four
many.
whites and one yellow section on a red map, and
That's
then
crazy. Yeah.
and then have no other T16. So like ever, you know, it all hopefully it would drop at least, even if it just drops one return with those sextants, like you're
Oh,
getting to
you'll
level 100
100%
4,
gonna
5,
keep
6
up.
times faster. So
Easily. Like even like fields, even making fields, even though it's a T11, making it into a T16 with like 6 or 7 blocks. Haunted mansion that's got like 8 million mobs in it. I was like looking at
crazy.
it yesterday and was just like, dude, this is such an insane boost to XP if you actually get it to work.
T16
You guys
race
think
pool.
like for the race to 100 anybody's gonna do it, or is it like too much of a hustle?
That's what I was gonna
Okay.
say. So you might be in the case. So let's pretend like the hardcore group. I could maybe see this happening. You have someone like Steel and Gucci boost Dan up. They get
Yeah.
Dan to farm Uber for him. To farm Elder, to then get the fragments really quickly, and then whichever group gets like the tier 16 boss killer bitch boy the fastest just has a huge advantage at that point. Because then
No, I
you're
mean,
farming
that's,
tier
that's
16.
unbeatable. It's just
Yeah.
a matter of like whether or not people are going to be 100 or already or not.
Yeah. Like,
But like
I'm
having two
looking-
groups, one progression and one mapping, basically, it's like that's pretty fucking powerful. I mean, I know Ziz did something like that in the past where they had like basically like a person dedicated, like it would be 1, 2, 3 people mapping, right, in a group, and then another guy would be farming at Ziri, then another guy would be farming Lab, another guy would be farming Shaper, and they would like have these dedicated people to these things so that they could all funnel all this shit into one person mapping. And if you do this thing with the Elder Orb, like
that's making it some next level shit. So, okay, you've got the carry, then you've got the, like, aura bitch, you've then got the curse bitch, you've then got the trader, and then you've got, like, 2 boss killers. In case, because in hardcore, you can't just have, like, the one boss killer in case one of them dies.
yeah, sure.
I'm
it's
sorry,
pretty-
my topic of Elder Orb turned this podcast into theory crafting trade league first 100. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I mean, it's kind of
my fault,
important.
sir.
Like, if you look at the chart, so right now, if you run a T16, right, you get 4.25% XP. I got to 100 in tier 10s, like Haunted Mansion, Channels, tier 9s, even Strands, and that's a tier 10 is 2.49. So you're getting almost double the XP, and they only increased 99 to 100 by 60%, right? So it basically reverts the nerfs of all the previous let's say you start doing this at level 90, I don't know, level 90, 91, 92, whatever, whenever you get there. That's so massive. There's like no XP nerfs anymore. You get to 100 like super easy.
Oh,
Faster
and
than ever, really.
I also forgot something, sorry. In that, you also then have 2 to 3 Pokemon bitches just go around. You've got the spider bitch, the snake bitch, the cat bitch, and the crab bitch, and they all just power farm the one specific thing.
I'm surprised. I would be really like shocked if they didn't add like a WoW Pokemon type of system in this shit. Maybe that's why you get the extra cider, I guess. Like they gotta do that, right? Like a mini game for this shit, and when you're like waiting for your guy to roll a map
Oh.
or something, you're just sitting there and like throwing your Pokeballs at each other. Hell yeah, I would love that. No,
I'll be down. I'll be down. No, I wouldn't. It'll be
a
nice.
mini game, I would like
Yeah,
it.
yeah.
In your hideout. Hey, that's another XP nerf, right? Because you're sitting around throwing Pokeballs, so you're not getting XP. Easy peasy.
Can you imagine how angry Reddit would be? You've used my supporter backs to decide pet battles! You know, all the people pissed that their money my money was wasted on the Xbox. You've now thrown my money to make Pokemon Blue? Fuck you, GGG.
I just figured out what's the true end game of this league. You're gonna be capturing guardians and map bosses, and then you craft with them, and you have to fight them all at once. Let's go.
That would be interesting. You can't capture humans, Karv. That's against terms of service, okay? No cannibals, no humans.
That's just
I
straight
think the Guardians are
slavery at that
humans, right?
point.
There's like
How about
Templars.
gods then? How about gods then? They are not the humans anymore.
Yeah, that's
They're
true.
Demi-humans things. Half human, that counts.
Okay.
I mean, all of this, like, think about it. When they showed the Resso versus Comb thing, right, in the past,
Mm-hmm.
maybe
It's
this
a
is like
teaser.
a
the
way to mix
technology's
it.
there.
Oh,
The technology
it's
is
just
there.
Yeah? That wasn't just a joke. They didn't record that 15 times to finally get a fight that made any sense where the Resso wasn't standing and shooting at like a wall for 10 minutes straight and then Cobb was just smacking him in the back. No, no, no.
I love to think that they've just like got Green Dude locked in a room somewhere, like, you're gonna get us back for PvP, and he's just developing like boss battles, just like, okay, so then we have 5 different arenas, and then we have the Gurabashi arena, then we've got a ranked battleground mode.
I mean, it's all there already. It's just nobody fucking uses it.
Okay, so are any of you guys gonna go for Uber Elder personally? Since I'm guessing Nugi, Raiz, Karv, you're probably all going SSF again.
No, I'm going regular league.
Oh,
I
what
bro-
makes you want to do the swap out of interest?
Ascendancies. There's just so many. I need to make so many builds, and I just you kind of like hamstrung playing on SSF. And if I just want to like play like a variety of builds this league, then I need to be over there. Also, I miss trading, and I miss just playing with other people. kind of, yeah.
I'm probably gonna take
Because
the
you
middle
like
ground.
stuck around, right? You like stuck around for a really long time. I typically switch like a month into the league or something.
Play like 3 leagues now, pretty much, mostly SSF. So I'm kind of like, oh, let's actually go back, push some ladder.
I mean, you did play that one race, right, where you were playing with friends, but you didn't trade.
did.
Wink.
Yeah.
I'm
You
probably
just gotta
gonna take.
get a bitch boy and then you can trade,
Oh,
right?
poor Karv. Okay, go on, Karv.
I'm probably gonna take a middle ground, what I've been doing POD and do group fund, where you like basically just make a guild and you only trade / find items within the guild. That's kind of like self fund, but you do not complete it solo. So you have access to some uniques, you have some access to maybe even some lab enchants when some people might run lab.
Can we fucking just get group self-found? Like, seriously.
Probably have like 10 people on it already. Ventura tried to set it up mid league at some point. I don't know. Did they like approach you at all from it?
I've done it before, but it's much harder to do now with Atlas because you have the issue where if you want to do it like halfway through a league, because I literally had this conversation with friends this league. We're like, oh, let's do group found, and it's kind of like, well, what league do we do it in? Because we already have our Atlas fully set up from playing normal hardcore. Then we can't go into SSF hardcore because then we can't trade with each other, and then we
I'm
have to
talking,
start
like,
going into like
real
softcore
sport.
leagues and stuff, and then at that point you then have to trust that people aren't trading and trust that people aren't like keep playing after they die. And what if you've already played softcore and hardcore this league? It'd be nice to
It's
have
stupid,
a,
but people
yeah.
want to do it, right? The
Yeah.
people who play SSF don't always want to play fucking SSF, but they also don't want to be like super clear speedy. So like the best middle ground will be group self-found, man. Just introduce it.
I'm
There's
up.
enough
Let's go,
players.
Raiz.
What's up?
I'm up. Let's go.
Yeah, I mean,
What would be needed though for like? Do you need like an entire actual league for it, or like a separate? Like you have the SSF, you have the regular one, and so on. Or do we just need some functionality within like the regular game, like with how we trade in stashes and stuff? Because I feel like as long as you made it easier for players just to like interact with each other in the regular game, that would go a long way for that.
Like
group found, yeah.
it'd have to. I'm trying to think what's the easiest way for them to implement it. There would either have to be a thing where, let's say that I made the league, right? So it's either people in my guild can join it, or I like take people off my friends list. Like I'm trying to think what is the easiest way.
Diablo 3. Make it basically so that you can join the group self-found league, and then everybody can group up with everybody, but you can't trade items unless the person was there at the moment of the
Okay.
item dropping.
Okay. So it's like
Yeah.
it's its own league, and then when you invite someone into your group, they get like phased into your server, and then you're together. And then if
Exactly.
I want to then play solo, I am then playing solo. And then
Exactly.
actually me and Raiz want to map together because our builds worked well. We map together for a few hours, our stuff works, go back to being... So it's, it's basically exactly how
Sure.
D3
And
would
if
do
we
it.
drop items in that, let's say an item drops for me in that time span when we're playing together, I can give it to you.
Yeah,
But then,
yeah.
like, when we split up, we can't trade these
Yeah.
items anymore at all.
It's essentially
And-
that's essentially soulbound items, though, right? If you had soulbound, like if you opted into soulbound items, right? You tag a thing, right? You can tag hardcore, you can tag soulbound, and now you play that way. That would essentially be all you need.
I mean, you can approach
but-
it from a different perspective too. You can create a group of people the same way you would create a guild.
Yeah.
And let's say you've got like 6 people in that group of people,
Mhm.
and you can only interact with each other. The problem with that, obviously, is that if your friends stop playing or they die or something, then dying game. I mean, then yeah, you're kind of fucked, and you're basically playing SSF at that point. You know. It's not the goal, right? That's why I thought the method with like Diablo 3 would be a little bit better. That you have to be present at that time. So you also don't have people like feeding you stuff, right? Where your friend wants to join 3 weeks after, and you're just like, well, I'm gonna give you all these things that I found because I have them in my stash, even though I'm group self-found. It's like, well, might as well go back to trading. It's definitely got pros and cons. You could have a group self-found tournament, dude. Where you would enter teams and then bam bam bam, and it's like a 2-day race, and let's see where the group gets.
Stuff like that would be really cool. I mean, so we can kind of expand this a little bit, because this kind of just goes into like race support and custom leagues. So like Nugi, after all your experience, because we've all been involved with that in some way, either commentating or participating, like going forward, do you think you're going to like keep holding that going into the next league, and what would you need more from GGG? Big question, very big question, but
it's not so much what we need from GGG. It's more like it's more like that the community actually comes together and really like wants it, I guess. I haven't really felt that people really want this. Like it's fun to spectate, but there aren't that many participants. It's really hard for people finding people who actually want to play it. And if nobody really plays it, well, then it's not as interesting. I think I don't know how much. I don't know. Like, will we do it again? Possibly. Maybe. Like we had the whole. It was kind of unfortunate with what's he called again? The guy who kind of showed the view bot on stream.
Blasting cap.
Oh yeah, he was doing some of the he was doing some of the stuff for the website and everything, right, to make it easier to organize everyone. And so when that happened, it's like, welp. But that was kind of a setback.
Wait, he didn't finish the website? Who would have thought?
I don't know.
Dang, I fell off.
So, I don't know. There has to be like an interest. What should GGG do? I don't know. I don't feel like they should do too much. I don't know. Yeah, it would be nice, like from a personal perspective, but I can kind of see how it doesn't really benefit that much, and then they don't really know where to go with it. I think because they're all about the whole, let's make a bunch of rewards so everyone gets interested. It's like, but it's a very niche thing, so. Custom leagues would be nice, though. That would be a huge start, just so we could actually create. Because I think a big problem is like how hard it is to make, like, just interesting races. So a custom league would be nice.
I guess the main issue you run into is the same issue I have just organizing this podcast. Is for most people spectating it, they don't want to watch people who aren't like personalities, right? So they mostly just want to watch streamers. So then you have the case of we need 4 racers, so we need 4 streamers available at this day. Most streamers are from different parts of the world, so then people are on different time zones, and then about consistently finding, you know.
But that's like the niche of that's the problem, right? It's hard to judge stuff like this. Like Throz never streamed. Everybody fucking knows who Throz is, or like Fraggy, CW.
Well, the racing community knows who they are.
Well, people generally know who Throz is. Like even outside of the racing community, I feel like.
I really want to have like a poll in chat right now. Who knows what's
Yeah,
on
me
this?
too.
I mean, at this point, it's been like 2 years since he's done anything. So at this point, it would be tough because the player base switches out. But like, even if you look at other games, like many professional players, right, and many other games, they don't stream, and yet people perceive them a certain way from tournaments and stuff like that.
I mean, what you
So-
need to remember though, Raiz, is when the XP... This is the best example. When the XP discussion happened, and Steel said that, well, yeah, but Raiz got the SSF thing. And everyone's like, who? Who's this guy? Like, oh, well, Steel hasn't won any races ever. I don't know why he's shit-talking Raiz. And I'm just like, what do you mean? It's like,
even I
who's
was
this Steel? Where's Steel ever won anything? And he's saying Raiz isn't good enough for SSF?
I was like, after this whole thing, do I apologize to Steel? Like,
Yeah.
what the fuck?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, that definitely happens because we don't have the mentality, right? That's why it works in other games that are competitive, because we do have the mentality. And back when racing used to be like a core part of PoE, people did know about people who were winning races because everybody raced. And so if we were to bring that back, that would be interesting. Do we want racing back? I
Yeah.
don't know. I mean, yeah, you and me, we want it, but like, just, you know, it's not up to us at the end of the day. Partially, but not really.
Well, do the people like in the racing community want racing back? Yes, I think they do, for sure. Like, do the
Problem
general
is that the
population of
community is
PoE?
for people now.
Do people want to watch it? Yeah, they do.
Yeah.
I think that was pretty
Yeah.
clear, right? So I think really what needs to happen is it needs to be easier to set up events. I think that's like the main thing. It's just too complicated. There's too many hoops you have to go through. Like if we want to make it a spectator sport, everyone has to stream, like Ventura said as well. Like that's a big barrier of entry for people to participate as well. So there's a lot of things where it's just really hard to set up the race itself and to make it like a spectacle. Anything to
But
help.
people
with that.
enjoy it. They just don't
Yeah,
want to.
they
They
do.
don't want to race. They just want to watch.
Yeah.
But I think that's completely fine. That's totally fine. Not everybody in every game is like at a super high rank, but they want to see players do well and possibly apply what they do into what they are doing themselves.
I mean,
I
that's
think it
basic-
will come. I think eventually, yeah. But for now, that's.
That's basically like real sports. A lot of people don't actually care about doing it themselves, other than like super casual, but they like to watch it. But since we are kind of going off topic, there's a nice little like a question in your off topic, and I like to go on that. So since we talked about GGG making the leagues and like kind of like forcing people to slow down to play the league, in the topic of slowing down, are you guys happy with the XP changes from 3. Like they are currently, and do you think they're gonna increase the time to take to 100 even more, or like the XP? Because they said that they're taking it carefully, right? They didn't like want to take like a huge leap from the getting to 100 now in the next, and they wanted to do it like gradually.
Personally, I don't
don't
have
think they're
that
changing
much of an
shit.
opinion on it, because this league, I just, like, played characters to low 90s, so I didn't feel it, right? I guess, Cutedog, like, you got a couple of hundreds this league, didn't you?
I have one level 100. I was gonna get a second one, but I got to 98. I got super bored. It was just super boring.
So, like, so how did you feel about the XP change, right? From going from
It
this
was
league
fine.
to last week.
It was totally fine because you use the sextants. The new Atlas made it pretty nice. Sextants made it easy. If you're willing to spend money on it, which I think is the right way to go about it. The Beyond stuff added a lot of XP, and I died 4 times again. Like last league, I died 4 times on the way to 100 between 99 and 100. This league, I died 4 times as well, but it didn't feel any different than the last league. Really, I didn't really feel the XP nerfs. I mean, I was running Beyond on every map this league. Last league, I wasn't doing that, so it's not bad.
Wait, what? That's like.
That's quite a big difference,
I was running this thing that gives me double XP.
Yeah. So it felt pretty good. It felt pretty good. It wasn't bad, but like once again, I have to remember that I can play a lot, right? Like lots of people just can't play that much, so it doesn't really make a difference for the character really. Like 95, I think is pretty easy. Like even if you're like not like casual, but you're just like a PoE enthusiast, you can get 95, right? Like just run the same map. If you don't like running the same map, you're not gonna get it. But if you're okay with running the same map, several hundred times, you're fine.
Didn't
And
95 feel like a lot harder for you? For me, it felt like getting to 95 was a lot harder, and then past that was like the same basically. But getting like even getting from like 88 to 95, I don't know. I felt like especially in your atlas, like it feels like you develop your atlas so much slower now. I've done 2 atlases and I was like, oh my god, I'm never dropping these maps. And then I look at everybody else and everybody's also like running tier 4s at level 90, and I'm just like, oh, I guess yeah, this is what we've got now.
You said that past setting up your atlas though, Raiz, that it felt worse? Because I feel like
No, past setting up the atlas, it felt better.
yeah.
Yeah.
But it's
once
just
you
like
had it
getting
set up, but that's
setting
why
that up, yeah.
that's why getting to 95 for me felt especially long this league in comparison. I think it's because like setting up your atlas took a lot longer.
You need to remember that as well, though, but it's also, there's a very big difference between, like, Cutedog's mapping experience in softcore and your experience in hardcore SSF. Because, yeah, even in just, like, hardcore trade,
like, I'm not
I
comparing
felt
to
like...
him.
Yeah, no, but, like, obviously, like, I felt like setting up my Atlas was a lot slower than it was last league. And that was even with trade. But from the little, like, SSF I've done this league, and yeah, it's, like, infinitely slower. There's the cool things you can do with, like, the Varlob trick, but... The core Atlas progression is just slower now. So it would make sense that you would feel like your first character got there a bit later than it normally would. I know. What about you, Nugi? You've played quite high up at this point. Like, what level did your RF character get to?
I think he's almost 98.
Yeah.
And I'm just kind of casually. Well, I wouldn't say casually, but for me, right? It's not. I haven't been grinding for XP, and I'm like 98. And I feel like if I really just sat down and I threw some sextant in there, because I have a couple hundred sextants, I have plenty of chaos, right? I can just like double beyond sextant and then go. It would take me like a few days per level, and then I'm like done with it, kind of. So it felt fine. It felt like it was in a better spot. I definitely felt like it was getting too fast. So I think that was a good thing. I don't think they should tweak the XP numbers too much anymore, though. I think that's kind of fine. The only real culprit here is like how sextants work with everything. I think that's really where they need to tweak, if anything, and just leave the numbers be.
Do you think we'll see anything going into this new patch? Yay or nay?
That's tough. It depends on whether or not they've actually come around with a solution, because we've heard that they've been working on it. Whether or not they have something ready, I have no idea.
I don't think they will, personally. I don't think they know what they're doing with the whole sextant thing. Not in like a, oh, they don't know what they're doing, just I don't think they have a solution.
No, I think you're right. I think they know that there's an issue there. Like they know that movement skills are an issue. Like they know that desync was an issue. But until they actually have a solution that makes sense and that people will enjoy, then they're just gonna keep it. Because it's not like sextants are not fun, right? There's definitely fun to be had when using sextants. So it's not the worst system ever.
They're gonna start at like 2C probably at the start of the league, so it's fine, right? You're not going to be getting 5 sextants for 4 chaos at the beginning of the league anymore. I really don't think so. So it's fine. Like I'm not going to buy sextants at like 2 per at the beginning of the league. Are you kidding me? So like, whatever.
Okay.
All right. Well, before we kind of like round off and finish up, is there any off-topic things or stuff that we've missed that anyone wants to cover?
I like how we cover all the off topics without the question for off topics anyway. So, SSL group self found covered, bit of racing covered. Oh, okay. Yeah,
I guess we haven't talked about the new skill gems. We should probably mention those briefly.
Ugh.
I know that you were very excited about the Summon Phantasm Raiz.
I don't know if I was very excited, but it's interesting, the way it works. To anybody that doesn't know, basically it summons like a medium-ranged minion every time you kill something, or your minion kills something. And they do have like an AI, they do move around. They seem pretty fast from what I saw, and they release like at least 1 to 3 maybe projectiles. I don't know if that was like linked with anything. And yeah, it's interesting because like a lot of people immediately pointed out to like having extra stuff for SRS, which I don't think is going to be the case, because like if your SRS kills something, then you spawn another guy. And then if you're strictly playing SRS, then you're basically always spawning guys that don't even get an opportunity to do something. But for like builds that, for instance, just have specters with that attached to them, and you're killing with something else, maybe like some sort of like null's inclination or something, where your source of mob death is like so drastically spread out, it could be something fun. I overall like the gem. I don't know about its usefulness, but I think it's going to be fun to play around with. I think the shield's fucking OP. The shield's looking good. It's like a ranged EK. Yakers.
Rather than a melee EK?
I mean, don't get me wrong, you can definitely get that out, but like if you can shoot all across the screen and then it releases projectiles too, it's like, and they can chain, like, and pierce.
Is it better than EK? I feel like it's just gonna, in the end, it's gonna be like a worse EK.
Yeah,
I really have this damage because you have to throw it first and then it explodes, and you have to hit something as well. You can't just zoom, boom, zoom, like just zoom and then.
You can throw it into terrain, which is kind of interesting. Throwing it into walls.
Yeah. Okay.
So there was one thing which
chains.
I was curious how it interacted with. So if you had fork on this, and you threw it into the wall, would it still fork? Because if it did, that would be crazy overlap. Because you would throw it into the wall, it would explode, form into two others, which would then instantly explode, and it would all like shotgun. Like that would be pretty.
We've seen it chain. So if it can chain, it can probably fork. And if it chains, then that means the first part chains, releasing more projectiles, and those projectiles chain too. So it's like you throw one thing, and if the smaller projectiles travel faster than the shield itself, then just kills, and the shield gets to the one remaining mob and then blows up again. Like, I can see this being pretty good if it does enough damage. And then, yeah, if you can actually shotgun it off of walls too, you just replace the chain with a fork and you've got your single target. Something that EK kind of struggles with.
Zai said that it has the exact same mechanics as Explosive Arrow. It will only explode on the final. So it will chain, but it won't explode until the final. In that case, that seems kind of terrible.
Yep.
Yeah.
I think it's slow.
I don't think it can
pierce.
Looks
slow.
I don't think the initial hit can pierce. I think they said that somewhere, or on the gem itself it says that it can't pierce. The shield can't.
Yeah, the shield itself can't pierce. The shards can. I agree with what Cutedog said. It had a very small AoE. I'm assuming that's with no projectile speed. So it looked like a very short range EK Nova after you throw the initial. If you can't... See, if you could chain and fork it for multiple explosions, I could see it being really powerful. And I've seen, like, some people do some maths on how it's quite easy to get, like, up to 600-700, like, equivalent damage if you're using, like, a two-handed weapon. And then you would have, like, a main hand stat stick. But if it's just one explosion per, then that seems a bit...
I got super excited, and Zai says that the IGN video was an old version that was confirmed by GGG.
Yeah.
Oh, shit, guess I don't know anything. RIP. Take everything back. It might have been a cool skill.
Keep in mind, there's a bunch of uniques coming. Oh, sorry, go ahead.
I think the skill can be pretty good. There isn't shown with like prod speed and all that. I think prod speed is going to be king for it, just like it is with EK. It's going to have a lot more single target than EK, so it's going to be a lot more versatile skill. I don't think it's going to be as good like for clear speed as EK, and you struggle with accuracy now. Like there's all the downsides of being an attack versus spell, but no,
you can build.
Cool.
You can build. Sorry, just real quick. You can build on the left side of the skill tree without going to the right side. You can build basically like an int crit melee character that's attack based, which is pretty cool.
Actually, one important thing to mention about crit, which a lot of people mentioned. So it actually won't work with very many crit nodes on the tree because it won't get spell crit and it won't get like it won't get like crit with one-handed weapons, for example.
Yeah.
So there's actually
probably
very few crit nodes you can get. So you're probably going RT with it.
Well, not necessarily.
No,
you
I
can
think
get like 9% base crit.
Like a hybrid shield, you're good to go.
So you've
Even
got like
an ES shield.
Like you can always do
Yeah.
stuff. You can always do stuff with like Scion and Assassin, obviously. But what nodes have you got? You've got the nodes in Shadow, and then you've got the crit multi node by Acrobatics. And
For CI.
those are the only clusters I can think of that would affect it.
Get really high base crit, and then you just use chance to crit on there as well, and you're good to go.
You'd build it the same way you build an auto bomber.
Yeah.
Get Hatred
really.
Watcher's Eye. You can get Pure Talent.
Yeah.
You
There
can
you go.
get Snow Forged, Trickery.
With a 400
should be
energy
fine.
shield, this is 9% base crit that we're talking about. Like, get
Yeah.
True Strikes, get some power charges, you know, pick a crit Ascendancy, get to like 40-45% crit, slap on a Diamond Flask. Sure, you're not gonna have like the best crit on the planet, but shit works, and it scales basically by itself too. While you can also scale it with global physical nodes and stuff like that.
Yeah. You could
Well,
also
the crit-
use like
Actually.
Elder and Shaper base crit items. Yeah, no, you'll probably be fine.
I think it's harder to scale the actual crit multi over the crit chance.
Yeah.
Right.
Because you like spell crit multi doesn't work, and
Yeah.
like the weapon nodes that have some crit multi don't work. So you just have to get a lot of global.
It might
Sound
be.
gets a lot of juice, and you pick up the all the gems for the multipliers.
Yeah, I'm not saying
and you
saying
also
it's not
got the
doable. It's just
little
probably
thing.
a bit harder to
Yeah.
scale than others.
It might be a little awkward in the fact that you can't use like Escher's shield with it. I know that sounds stupid, but that's normally like just the easy fix for builds like that, where it's like awkward scaling. You just get Esh shield, and that's all the scaling you ever need.
Get to use
I
the
mean, you
stat stick
could
though,
use it.
shaper weapon, easy peasy. So much damage. Like the fact that you can use, because this is one of the problems with all the any attack-based build that uses a shield right now, they can't have a stat stick because they have a shield. Right? So now you get the shield as your main weapon, and then you have the stat stick, and you get like 100% gained whatever, plus all the other stuff, and attack speed, and you're moving like 1 billion miles an hour with the same amount of damage. So
There would probably be some juicy enchants too, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe you could throw 2 additional shields with the Uberlab enchant. or
I would
void.
imagine there'll be at least one additional shield. I would imagine.
No,
That'd
that
be
would be
cool.
stupid, no?
That'd be
I
so
mean,
cool.
Wait, can you
It's-
GMP the shield? Like, can you
No,
attach GMP?
the initial shield will always only be one. That's why I think there'll
Okay.
probably be an enchant, which would be 2 or something.
That
I still
would be
think the real-
strong.
The real OPOP is gonna be the Phantasm thing. Does the Phantasm, would it work with the things that are supported on your Spectre?
Yeah,
Like
but
if I
it's a bit
use like
awkward,
Solar
though.
Guard, I got minion damage. You know, I got like the slower proj. I got the others.
But
Yeah, but then
These
they
stuff.
just pop up 1,000,000 times because you can only have 5 of them at maximum. So if you kill a pack of 20 mobs and you continuously kill mobs instantly, then they just pop up and don't do anything because the next one they just keep popping up from the ground and they don't get a chance to do anything. The same way like SRS pops up when you spawn it and it thinks for a second and then it does something.
Okay.
I feel like if
Yeah.
you have too much clear speed, then that's just what's gonna happen. They're just gonna keep popping up and not doing anything.
there's a few awkward things with it. So with the Solar Guards example, the Phantasms do physical damage. So then you need to then convert that physical to elemental damage somehow. So you wouldn't use, for example, Fizz to Lightning on Solar Guards.
Well, it would still benefit from the minion damage. It
Well,
would still
nobody-
benefit.
It wouldn't benefit from like Ellie Focus. It would only get like what, Hatred.
slower
Yeah, but
proj.
people don't do that on Solar Guards anyway.
And you have Abyssal
That's what I'm
Jewels
saying,
and a
right?
Scourge.
It's like a lot of the support gems would be wasted. Like, what are the
No,
supports?
it's the same stuff.
There's minion
like you
damage and
get-
slower
you-
proj for a single
you-
target.
You get GMP, which is the same thing.
Yeah.
You get minion damage, which is
Yeah.
the same thing. They're clearly casting spells, so Control Destruction
Yeah.
totally works with that.
Spell
Let go.
Echo.
Yeah, Spell Echo, there you
Mm,
go. That
don't
works
run
Do you
too.
use
Focus,
Ellie
and you're
Focus?
fine.
Is that the last link?
Spectres. Do people even use Ellie Focus on 6th Link Solar
Yeah,
Guards?
So that would be Ellie Focus would be the only wasted link then, because that'd be the. Well, I guess the 6th link has to be Phantasm, because you have to have Phantasm in
Yeah,
there.
yeah, yeah.
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 But I mean, you
Yeah,
get the
there
Abyssal
you go.
Jewels, and you're set.
Yeah.
You get the
Yeah, no, I
crazy
guess that
Abyssal
works.
Jewels.
Yeah.
Is that really how people are gonna play it though? Because like, don't they have a duration as well, so they fall off?
I
You're
don't
not
think so.
struggling for. They don't.
I think no, I don't think that's how people are gonna play it. It's not gonna be like a main ability because again, they're gonna pop up and just disappear before because they're gonna constantly reach their maximum amount because you can have 5. But then I think it like for builds that are basically hybrid that have multiple sources of like killing. Like if you're running Duel's Inclination, SRS animate weapon build
Mirage
with
Archer, stuff like that. Yeah.
Then like sometimes you're killing, sometimes your Spectre's killing, sometimes your SRS is killing, sometimes your Golems are killing. They've got so many sources that you won't exceed that limit, and therefore they will be useful sometimes.
It's more like filling a gap, right? Where it's like, oh, I really would like some more clear. I kill like smaller packs fine, but the moment like there's a lot of stuff around me, I can't really kill it fast enough, kind of deal.
Yep.
Even for nulls though, it's actually kind of bad because if the Phantasm gets the kill, that's not you getting the kill, so you then won't summon the SRS and the animate weapon.
Yeah.
It has, like, I've got it showed up on stream right now. Like, it has a base duration of 10 seconds, maximum 5. You'll probably get more as you level it, I would imagine.
Yeah, but if you do, like, just animate weapon, for instance, then you've only got a limited amount of weapons. Like, it's not like every kill grants you a weapon anyway, so you can't spawn a weapon every time. So it's like, you don't need all the kills on the planet, you need, like, 1/4 of them, and that should be enough weapons on the ground to, like, cover everything.
I think it's really cool. There's a screenshot with 15 plus Phantasm, so max number probably scales to gem level. Yeah, that's what I would assume it would scale to level.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Then that would be quite a bit stronger. How much did he say? 15?
Yeah, guy said 15 in chat.
Yeah, I mean, if it goes up to 15 or 20 or 25 even, yeah, then that would be definitely very much viable, because 5 sucks. 5 sucks.
So outside of, like, the meme nulls build, like, outside of that, what's, like, the actual build you see it, like, fitting into? Like, a normal, like, this is my build, and you go, okay, not someone saying...
Scourge?
Vectors.
Something where you attack as well with Scourge? I don't know.
I mean, anything, if the limit is higher than 5, then anything, really. It will work anywhere, because the biggest thing is the limit. But if the limit goes up, then it will work everywhere. It's just what build really needs it, right? Like, for instance, if it does, that would be really good for something like SRS that has a build up and that is in a really shitty spot, in my opinion, right now. Because it's like, if you can just run into the pack and kill it instantly with a Solar Guard, why would you even need an SRS, right? But with this, you've already got these mobs going into the next pack and spawning like more of these dudes, so you only need to cast like a single SRS and it clears everything while your Spectres also like shoot something.
Do they follow you with Convocation?
I don't think we've seen it with Convocation, but they will move
if
towards
they do follow you with Convocation, that's pretty nice.
Probably then not. I mean, they're 10-second duration, so they probably don't follow you. The same way Skellies and SRS don't.
I think it's even gonna be good in this league though. Like anytime you have to like stand and wait, you despawn and you don't have anything left, and like the duration I think might be kind of a detriment to the skill.
Well, 10-second base is quite a lot, isn't it?
I guess. Yeah, you can just scale it with duration in the tree. So like, how long can we like expect it to be out? Like with current duration, you get it to last.
Well, you'll have Necromancer duration.
Yeah, a little over 20.
The two clusters is 90%, and
then plus Necro 30
more
or something. So I think you have 120% duration. So that's what, 22 seconds.
Without a gem or anything, because we don't know how powerful they are.
And it might get like more duration with like quality or something.
Quality.
Yeah, and there'll probably be a Helmin chart which increases duration as well.
What kind of? I don't remember seeing how the projectile they actually shoot. How does that look?
It's like, you can see the background.
It looks like Unearthed, I think.
Yeah, it's just
like sucks. It's like the worst.
It's like a piercing, like just thin black bolt. I think by default it shoots 3 thin piercing. You can see it in this video if you watch it.
In the video that he's using Torrential, doesn't he have LMP or GMP on it?
We don't know.
So do we actually know if it's just one as a base projectile, and you have to scale it with LMP or GMP or something like that?
He shoots 3, but we don't see if it's supported by anything. So we don't know if they start with 3, or if you can get them.
I mean,
more.
if it doesn't get supported by the support skills, I don't think it's gonna.
No, it does get supported. It does.
Definitely, yeah.
So then it's used something with like GMP, and that's hopefully is enough AoE.
And if it deals the damage of Unearth, I would be fine with that. Shit.
I mean, Unearth does a lot of damage.
Yeah.
Yeah, it does.
And especially scales really hardcore too. So maybe this would be like an interesting, because with Spectres you don't need plus levels, but then with SRS and like Skellies and shit, you do need plus levels, sorta. So it's like an in-between, where we get scales from both plus levels and like the base minion nodes. I don't know. Like a hybridy type of thing.
I don't really see anyone using it with SRS, like linking it to SRS though, because then you're basically you're gonna use GMP, right? Just to get them AoE, and then you have the Phantasm skill itself, and then you have like few supports. You have, I don't know, I guess you wouldn't use Blast then, because you just want few kills. But I don't know, that's just taking so many sockets, and then because it's an on kill effect, I kind of feel it's gonna be a bit awkward if you're like actually trying to kill like map bosses when there are still some maps that don't really have monsters in them, like the map bosses, the boss areas, or like spawn monsters during the fight.
Can they spawn themselves?
I think it's you or your minion skill. Non-Phantasm minions.
Wait, they are your minions.
Yeah, that's why I specified non-Phantasm. I think.
Oh, non-Phantasm.
I think it reads in the skill.
The exact wording is 50% chance to summon a Phantasm when supported skills or non-Phantasm, so they won't spawn themselves.
Okay. That's too bad. That would be broken as hell. I would love that.
Okay. And yeah, in the close-up, it shows that it was one base projectile. The guy was using LMP, which is why it shot 3. So it's base 1 projectile. It does gain projectiles from LMP and GMP. So you would be using GMP, so it will shoot a base of 5 projectiles. It wouldn't get affected by Dying Sun. And it probably... If you had, like, Psi on your skills fire 1 additional projectile...
You can affect it by Dying Sun, excuse me?
It's not a Spectre.
It wouldn't work, because it would work the same way that, like, I would assume Mirage...
the belt. Isn't
yeah,
the
but
belt every minion?
No, it's not all minions. That belt would be broken for SRS. Holy shit, dude.
Yeah, it's broken for zombies. What is it, like Umbilicious or something?
Isn't it like like Spectres and zombies?
It might be specific to Spectres and zombies.
Or either, I don't remember, but I know that it doesn't affect every minion.
Okay. That's too bad. I mean, it's not too bad. But
you're playing a pretty dumb build if you're using that belt.
And Spectres it uses.
Not necessarily, no. You're playing a build like any other build. You're basically playing... I mean, they can leech to you, like zombies can leech to you and stuff like that. Yeah. I've seen some really good builds with that. As a Duram, he's the man when it comes to this stuff. I don't know what I'm looking at the unique belts and I can't find it.
Bellicus Immortalis. Belt.
Okay, I think when Raiz is learning about how Umbilicalis works, I think that's might be the point that we've officially exhausted. We've officially exhausted it. Is there anything that anyone would like to say before we finish off?
It's zombies and specters, damn it. I'm excited for the new league, but not as much as ever. It was a little bit shocking to see going on Reddit the day after that there was no new topic past the initial 4 ones. I think nobody knows anything yet, and give us the goddamn patch notes because there's just not enough to go off of.
I hope that the Ascendancy rework is gonna feel like the old days when they changed the skill tree basically every league. Yeah. I hope that's a throwback to that for me at least.
Same.
Even if the league itself is very underwhelming, I think the Ascendancy, I mean presumably the huge Ascendancy changes are gonna make it good.
Yeah. I think that's basically my assessment as well. The league, it might be cool. We really don't know enough about it. And even if the league is a bit boring, we've got loads of new items coming out and we've got all the new Ascendancy stuff. So I think it will be a good time all around.
I really hope that they're gonna be on the ball with like fixing anything that's like wonky and clunky with like the lead mechanic, because that could really just be the killer. I think that's like the main thing, that it feels nice to play. So if they're like, they really need to be on the ball. I think the Ascendancy, I agree. I'm really looking forward to that. Just getting like a nice toss up, play something new.
Yeah, I think the net mechanic will definitely like make or break it. So hopefully, like by Monday coming, we'll get something on nets, and as long as just the entire community just spams them with net mechanics until and after the release, hopefully it will be okay. And if it isn't, we called it here first, so you know, there's that. But yeah. I would like to thank Nugi and Karv for coming on and giving me your superior 500 IQ. And yeah, thanks everyone.
Bye.
Nice to be on.
Bye, guys. Bye.
Before I drop the Discord call, I'm sure we're all pretty exhausted, but do any of you guys want to stream after this?
I'm gonna stream BOD.
I'm streaming Kingdom Come.
Raiz, what are you doing?
Fight to the death. Who's getting the host? For
Okay,
POD or Kingdom
do rock, paper, scissors, best of 3. Whoever gets it, gets the
Yeah,
host.
do it.
Go.
I
I'm
wanna see
ready.
it.
Yeah,
Yeah,
between
okay.
Nugi and Karv, best of 3,
On-
rock, paper,
on
scissors.
shoot.
On the count of 3. So 1, 2, 3.
Who's gonna count? Who's gonna count?
Hey, man. Also, we do it. You call, and then we do it.
Yeah, I call,
Yeah,
you do it.
3.
Okay.
Okay.
So 1, 2, 3. Okay.
Oh shit.
Okay, so Karv, it's best of 3. You've got one more chance, Nugi. Okay. 1, 2, 3. Okay. 1,
Okay.
2, 3. Karv wins it, man.
Oh, yeah.
Superior IQ every time. Every time.
They're just cringing so hard.
Oh god.
Please, that has to be a new emote. Nugi comfy. Now you're gonna get Nugi uncomfortable.
Okay. I'll drop the Discord call so you've got time to set up your stream, and I'll catch you guys later. Cheers for that.
Yeah.
Bye. Everybody.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye. Sorry.
That was so good. I'm